to...
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, woo, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
And I did what I had to do to win, but somebody wouldn't let us win.
We got one!
Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in, but the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
What are you trying to tell me? That I can dodge bullets?
No, Neil. Trying to tell you that when you're ready, you won't have to.
Hey guys, welcome back to License to View. This is the weekly podcast where two best friends get together to talk about pop culture news. It is an early Saturday morning.
Super early, yeah.
I'm Jason, that's Zach. What's going on, man?
It's, I'm tired.
I know, man. I feel you there, man.
Yeah, I had to work late last night. The way they have the show set up now is that, now it's I had to actually work in the building because I've been working at home for the past couple weeks, but I actually had to go in the building because something with the scheduling, I don't know, but whoever's working in the building, you usually have to, booth multiple shows because there's not as many people in the building anymore. Mm-hmm. So I was there till midnight last night, just working my shit. So yeah, I'm super tired.
You get OT for that, or they adjusted your schedule?
They adjust the schedule, and I saw that, and I was like, "This is the biggest hunk of bullshit." I gotta do this extra work, and then you're just gonna work around it.
Ugh. Oh, it's rotating producers doing that. Is that what it is, or?
Yeah, it's the way that they originally talked to me about it is that it's going to be 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So I just finished up my 2 weeks of working at home. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be working in the building. So.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I remember you mentioned that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. My situation's already weird because, I'm working on the weekends, and they basically are they basically told me that it's it doesn't matter if you're working at home or whatnot, on the weekends, you're in the building. And I was like, well, then what's the point? Because that's half my week that I'm not working from home. It seems kind of pointless. Just stick me in the building the whole time. Why am I doing this back and forth? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know.
Hey, could be worse.
Yeah.
You could be like me, which is I'm there all the time, always, no matter what. I'm at work regardless. No matter what the issue is, I'm there all day, every day, all day.
Yeah, that's true.
But besides you being tired of shit, what have you been doing, man? You been checking anything out?
Checking a few things out. So, on your recommendation, just to start off with, was that I watched In Search of the Last Action Hero.
Oh, okay, yeah.
To get kind of prepped for this. That documentary, it feels like it's in a weird spot because it is at one time chock full of shit, but at the same time it's very surface level, where it's because it covers the span of from James Bond being the very first prototypical action movie of what action movies kind of that framework started off as, to early 2010s action movies. And so it spans a long breadth of time, but in spanning such a long breadth of time, they hit certain things briefly. I feel the big movies definitely got 5 to 10 minutes, but there's a lot of smaller stuff. The stuff that I was more interested in was definitely the stuff with Cynthia Rothrock and her generation of female action heroes, and I feel that was almost barely touched upon because they're just hitting so much shit. Mm-hmm. Because Predator got 5 minutes, and a lot of Shane Black stuff got a lot of time, obviously, because they got him, so they're gonna talk about his stuff.
He's also definitely,
but he's also done
probably the biggest name in the documentary.
Yeah, and he's and he's done some of the, especially from behind the camera, he's done some of the more iconic action movies that are out there. So it makes sense that they're gonna be talking to him and getting his perspective on whatnot. But yeah,
I look at the documentary as, if you don't know anything about action movies, this is going to give you a humongous primer.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to go do the research, that's when you insert Scott Adkins' podcast, You
Yeah.
know, art of action, where he explains all the stuff. He talks to everybody. But if you don't know anything about early '90s video
Yeah.
store direct to VHS action movies, and you don't know who Cynthia Rothrock is, or
Yeah.
or China O'Brien or whatever, well, then this
Mhm.
gives you an idea that they exist. You know,
Yeah.
because even for me, who is a humong, this is my favorite genre of movie in general is action
Yeah.
movies, and then you break it down even further. My favorite genre of action movie are martial arts action movies. Break it down even further. My favorite genre of movies are VHS, straight to DVD, blockbuster. That's my favorite genre of movie. Is that? That's what I grew up watching, right?
Right.
And even though that's my favorite genre of movie, I still found new shit to watch because of this.
Oh, I definitely found new
You know
shit.
what I
Well, I mean,
mean?
yeah, no, I mean, I definitely found new shit to watch because of this. Like, I'd never even heard of the guy who did, what was it? It was like the Best of the Best
Best of the best,
series, I
yeah,
think is. I'd
yeah.
never even
Philip
heard of
Ree,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that before. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Like, I definitely want to check that out. And like, I know Cynthia Rothrock from Red Letter Media, where they did one of her movies, so I kind of know of her from then. But I really hadn't like heard too much other stuff like about her, and so like seeing that like she had her own like actual like
Series.
I don't had her yeah her own series that
Mm-hmm.
was like it must have been like mildly popular because she got a series out of it. So
Well, this is funny because this is obviously related to Scott Atkins, but
mhm,
he interviews Cynthia on his podcast, and he's a picture
mhm.
of him in like the early '90s when he's like a teenager at a blockbuster in England with a picture with him and Cynthia Rothrock, where he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in the movies one day," and she's like, "Okay, I'll see you in the movies," and autographed it, whatever. He's like showing her
Mhm.
the picture. Hey, here's a picture of you and me for like 30 years ago, or whatever the fuck. Where I told you I was gonna do this.
Yeah.
No, yeah, her she does Yes Madam. That's her. She
Mhm.
does China O'Brien. That's her big series. And
Mhm.
she was fantastic. And like a lot of the Hong Kong stuff, she's like, I never saw a white girl do that shit
Yeah.
until I saw her do it. And
Yeah.
that's why I get so mad when I see these fucking shitty. We can get into it later, but that's why I get so mad when I see the modern day action movie and they
Mhm.
insert like these female actresses who don't try.
Yeah.
Like the ones who like Charlize Theron tries.
Yeah.
You see her try on Atomic Blonde. She's trying. I haven't seen the old guard, but I'm assuming you said she tries.
She's I mean she's got decently good stuff in there. I think her best action scenes. I mean she's got better movies out there, but I mean yeah, I mean Charlize Theron is I think one of the ones that like really tries to put in the
She's
work.
trying. She's like Keanu, where she's trying. Maybe not as much as Keanu, but she's trying.
Yeah.
But yeah, these movies with like these actresses who are on like soap opera, TV type shows or drama
Mhm.
shows who like I understand why they're getting them because it's money, it's advertising.
Mhm.
The movie will get made solely on this actress's fame, but they're
Yeah.
not trying, so they give you the Bourne fight, and that's the most
Yeah.
annoying thing. Most annoying thing in the world is the Bourne fight.
Yeah.
Um, but to me, the documentary, is made by Oliver Harper, who's a big YouTuber actually, and he
Mhm.
has a YouTube channel called Oliver's like retrospectives, whatever. He makes half-hour long movie retrospectives or whatever. And
Mhm.
he's making a new documentary. He just announced it like last week for Street Fighter 2.
Oh fuck yeah.
So there's that, and then obviously this documentary to me is one of my favorite ones I've seen in a long time, purely based on just his history of action movies. That's to me is like perfect.
Yeah,
And
I like that a lot.
there's two more in the same vein called like one's called like In Search of Darkness, which is about horror movies, which I won't touch. And there's a part two coming out. There's also In Search of something which is about sci-fi, 80s sci-fi.
Okay.
That's being made now. So there's some good stuff, man. And like I said, this documentary in particular, even if it's like it's a history map of action movies,
Yeah.
but if you want to know about like Bruce Lee or something, you need to go watch a different documentary. If you want to
Yeah.
dive into it.
Yeah, I think it's a really good roadmap of like giving you different branches. If specifically like if you find something that piques your interest in the documentary, I think it's really good of like
Yeah.
giving you the roadmap of like where to start your search in. Like if you're interested in like female action stars, and you like start with Cynthia Rothrock. If you're interested in like, foreign action movies, then you start with like, best of the best, or something along that line. Or, you got Michael Jai White. He's a big part of it too. So, so yeah, I was interested in that aspect. I guess I don't know why. I like the road mag aspect for it. I guess I just wasn't prepared for like how deep of a dive that it was going to be. I thought it was really going to be more focused on just like the 80s action
Oh yeah.
movies. So I thought it was going to be more centralized to that. And so the fact that it was like much more spanning of like action, the action genre in general, was unexpected for me, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I definitely I've seen it 3 times now. Just purely based on like, okay, how can give me some actors and then give me some movies and then let me write down stuff that I had missed so I can watch it for later.
Yeah.
You know, but that's cool, man.
Yeah, for sure. So I did that. Another thing that I watched was an oldie but a goodie for me.
Okay.
Was I watched the original Mission Impossible.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Uh,
The movie.
the movie.
Okay.
Um, Fuck, dude, I love this film series so much.
Right.
I love Mission
I
Impossible movies.
don't.
You don't?
I think no. I think it's good. I will watch every single one when it comes out, but I'm not like in love with it.
I think I'm in the minority where I'm like in love with these movies. Like I love the Mission Impossible franchise. I don't know what it is. I think maybe just something about Tom Cruise, but yeah, I mean the first one, super clever. I like it a lot. You know, gets off to the jump with like, you go from heist to heist, and I think the pacing in this one is probably a lot better than like a lot of the later movies. Just because I really feel like for this one, I feel like it cuts out a lot of the fat, and it really is just like bam, 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 or like heist to heist to heist to heist to heist. Like, I think the pacing is really, really strong with it. Um, but I mean, it's weird like going back to watch this after like we're like 6 films into the Mission Impossible franchise, but it's like a lot of them are just like copies of the same basic structure, which is like it starts off with like he's working for IMF. He gets betrayed for some reason. He's got to figure out why he's betrayed, and then he gets in IMF's good graces again.
Right.
And that's like the whole basic structure for like all 6 movies, and I still love it.
Yeah, you would think that like after a certain point they would just understand that maybe he's not actually doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Like he's probably okay, right? It's more like
Yeah.
we're in the wrong because we keep accusing him
Yeah.
of some shit.
Yeah.
You know, he saved the world and saved our random ass the government agency 1,000 times. Maybe we should give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think so, but I don't know. Something about the IMF, doesn't really have the best people in charge. Even though I think by like Rogue Nation, I feel like no, Alec Baldwin's in charge. Never mind.
Yeah, the ball was in charge.
But yeah. So I watched that. That was a classic. Well, I don't know. I got yelled at by my directors because apparently it's not old enough to be a classic. I was like, this movie's
Hold
about.
on. What's their reasoning?
They said it wasn't old enough.
How old are they?
I think they were born in like the 70s.
So they think that the '90 movie's not a classic.
I guess not. I was like, this movie's about as old as I am. Like, I feel like it's a classic to me.
Well, I don't even think. I think I get what they're saying. But I don't think that matters because there are movies that set. I would consider Commando a classic. I would consider Terminator a classic. I would consider T2 a classic.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
T2 inspired how many movies?
Oh yeah.
How much money
Inspired
did
the whole
T2 make?
genre.
Is Titanic not a classic?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is. So how are we gonna say it's not a classic because it's only 30 years old or less than that?
Yeah.
But how much money did it make? That's a classic to me.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So I watched that. That was a fun time. I didn't.
Did they give you an example of what they considered a classic though? Real quick, did they give you any
I
examples?
know they gave me one, but like I was so fucking tired and like out of it that like I don't even remember. But
So I'd be curious if it's like some bullshit, like fucking some shitty ass movie that they think is a classic.
I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know they like spat something out there.
Okay.
But I can't remember what it was. I tried to watch another movie, so I tried to watch because I know we talked about it. I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast, but I wanted to try to watch the Crow movies on Netflix Japan. neither one of these movies have English subtitles on Netflix Japan.
So annoying.
I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, all I wanted to do was sit down and like watch this movie, and now I can't because I don't speak Japanese and I don't know what the fuck's going on.
And those movies are fun too, man.
I know I'd seen. I know you talked to me about them when I talked about the fact that they were coming on to Netflix Japan, and you told me that you'd seen them. I was like, oh, I'll be down to watch these. You know, it's like young kids, gang, street brawling type of stuff. Like I'm always down for those type of movies. Those are always fun. But I was just like, I don't know, I was super disappointed. Also, it's like I don't know. I could understand if it was like a newer movie, but I mean, it's like over 10 years old.
Yeah, it's not new at all.
Yeah. So, and I mean, there are other movies that are Japanese movies that have English subtitles. So it's like, why do these not? So they have a little thing where they like have a complaint thing, and I was like, this movie has no English subtitles.
Yeah, well, they probably assume
But,
like, why would we need them? Because it's in Japan.
yeah, but I feel like they have especially the way Japan is now. I feel like a lot of their population is based off like immigration and whatnot, and I feel like a lot of people that immigrate there,
Yeah,
not a lot of them speak Japanese.
Their
So.
immigration is not as much as ours.
Well, I mean, yeah.
You know,
I mean, they're a smaller country.
I think they let in like 100 people a year for actual like
that few?
for actual like residents. Yeah, I think it's like 100 people or some shit.
Hmm.
They're crazy protective over their people. It's like Australia.
Which is weird to me because I mean, from everything I remember seeing, it's like Japanese people just aren't having babies anymore. So
It's a reverse pyramid,
Yeah.
pyramid population, man.
yeah, the young people aren't getting married and not making no babies. So
Let's see, because I remember seeing, um, what's it called? An article about how many people they let in,
Mhm.
and it's like people always pull Japan like in this giant, you know. Okay, so here's Wikipedia article. Obviously, take it with a grain of salt.
Mm.
With estimated population of 127.11 million in 2015, the resident foreign population of Japan is 1.75%.
Oh wow,
So nothing.
that's not that's not that much at all.
Um, yeah, it's 2 million foreigners in 2014.
Okay,
Uh, so and
interesting.
they let even let for refugee and asylum. I remember this was a big deal because of the refugee stuff that was happening a couple years ago here.
Hmm.
They were like letting even less. Like they let like nobody in because
Yeah.
the country is so homogenous.
Hmm.
Like growing up there, like if it wasn't for military bases, it would be all Asian people.
Right.
Like in some sense, Korean, Chinese, whatever.
Hmm.
It's so many Asian people. Um, like okay, I'm gonna give you a little secret, Zach. I think I told you this before, but so I'm Filipino, right?
Hmm.
Well, my my mom, her I guess her niece, my cousin, in some sense, we're like not directly like what's it called like when they're like a circle outside of your circle,
Uh,
like
I can't
second
remember.
cousin or something like that.
I think so.
So
Yeah.
it's like my second cousin or some shit, whatever that is. Like they're my cousin, but they're whatever a little farther.
Uh-huh.
Well, she's Filipino and she lived in Japan when I lived there, right? When I was a kid. I was like, how the fuck does she live here? Why did she move to Tokyo? Well, that's so weird. Because she was married to a Yakuza. And I'm like, okay, so why did he marry her? Because he went to the Philippines and he found some Filipino bride and just brought her back, right? He's an older guy.
Hmm.
And I didn't know what Yakuza was because I was too young.
Hmm.
My dad explained it to me. He's like, yeah, he's driving a Cadillac. Well, this is
Mm.
Japan. Cadillacs are fucking big ass cars,
Right.
right? And he owns a club. I'm like, okay, okay. This is adding up. This is some Godfather shit. But yeah,
Hmm.
he was like 50 when she was like 30 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
And I'm like in my mind thinking like, how did this happen? Was she a hoe? Was she a night walker? And he came to the because a huge thing about the Filipino culture, like in terms of Japan, is that they're prostitutes. They
Right.
go to the Philippines for prostitutes and they bring them back or whatever for like yakuza bangs or whatever. You know what I mean? But then my mom told me they got divorced, and I was like, "Is she still alive?" And she was like, "Yeah, she's back in the Philippines." I was like, "Are you sure?" Like, he because they had a son together, And I'm like, are you sure she's still alive? Because I don't know if that's. I'm like, all right, if you say so.
All right. Interesting.
Um,
No, I don't think you've ever told me that before.
yeah, yeah. When I lived there, they came and visited us. My dad's like, yeah, he's a gangster. And again, my dad's a cop, so he's not like he's pulling it out of his ass. You know, what I mean, he's like
Yeah.
putting two and two together. He's no whatever. He's a cop, a military cop, so he's like, I got you.
Mhm.
Small man. He's a small guy.
Yeah.
I
I
feel
think
like
well, that's the thing in Japan, right? Is that or in Asia in general that like a lot of Asian people are just small.
just small man. They're just tiny
Yeah.
people. And I see they as though not me, because
Yeah.
I'm not since I'm biracial, but like, dude, like my dad's only 5'11",
Hmm.
and walking through Tokyo, my dad's like,
A giant.
fucking, and of course there's Japanese dudes who are 5'11", 6 foot tall. Pro wrestlers are 6 foot tall in Japan,
Right.
but like if you were like 6'5",
Hmm.
like if you were Shaq walking through Tokyo, like dude,
If you're Benjamin Kissel.
yeah, if you're Ben Kissel, dude, you're fucking get out of here. You're Razor Ramon, you get out of here.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash, the Big Show, get out of here. You're too fucking
Mhm.
tall.
You're too big.
You're too big. So what else have you been checking out, dude?
So a couple of things that I was checking out. I was just playing. I really haven't been playing too much. I've been playing my mobile game because the latest story chapter for that got released. Um, and it's fine. It's
Yeah.
not the best story chapter that they've had so far. It's all right, and they introduced new characters in it, and it's just like, I don't know, none of them particularly appealed to me. In a sense that like I would want to like add them to my team. So it's just like, this one's kind of a dud.
Right.
But I mean, the interesting about this game, because this is Fate, and so the interesting thing about and this and like most mobile games in general is just like, Japan is like 2 years ahead of us, like content wise, and so I just like get to see what's coming down the pipeline, and so I see like everything that's coming up in the next story chapter, and I was like, fuck, dude, I'm about to lose my whole wallet because
Yeah.
there's some fucking good ass characters coming in this next one. Where the next one takes place in like because the whole story thing for this is like with it right now is that proper human history was like deleted and all these like alternate universes of like things that could be or like fighting to gain control and become like the new proper human history. So like the first story chapter was like an alternate Russia where it was like eternally in winter and like the only way people would survive is that they like merge with like animal DNA so that it could like survive the cold. So it was like all the population of Russia was like half wolf type
Oh.
creatures. And it was run by Ivan the Terrible, who was still alive because he was like a half demon elephant monster. It's Fate, so it gets fucking crazy.
Right.
But so that was like the first one. The second one was like an alternate like Norse thing where like the population is like called to be only children in these like select villages throughout the world, and like the only way that like the population to survive is that when people get old enough, they're like sacrificed to like ice giants, and like that like keeps peace. So that was the kind of thing. And then this one was like a hypothetical China where it was like one of the first Chinese emperors like survived and like became immortal, and basically like brought peace through China by like not letting anybody learn anything. Basically, he did the whole thing where it was like, you all remain like dumb, mindless sheep, and you'll be peaceful because you won't know anything. I'll have all the knowledge and stuff in myself.
Right.
And so that was like that type of thing. And then the next one is going on in India. I don't know too much about it. I just know it takes place in India. But like some of the servants that they're introducing, I was like, fuck, dude, these are some cool fucking characters.
Really. That's cool.
Yeah.
How much does it cost you every time?
Well, I mean, if I don't want to roll any, then it really doesn't cost me anything. But it depends on how much I want to spend on it. I mean, the average that I spend is like $50 for like a couple of rolls, and I think that gives me like, let's see, it's 30 for a roll, and the $50 pack is like 150, so it's like it gives me like 5 rolls, which is like not great, especially with the odds in the game. But like, I'm not trying to like, I'm not really trying to go bankrupt, so it's like,
Yeah.
and they give you a lot of free like summoning currency in the game that like, if you're not summoning stuff for like a couple a long while, then like there's a really good chance that like you can save up enough to where like you can have a couple extra rolls in
Right.
there. Like right now, I recently tried rolling for one of the characters that I really love, but I didn't get her because I didn't buy anything. I just used the stuff that I'd saved up. Um, but she's like an alternate version of like Miyamoto Musashi, and she's like one of my favorite character designs in the whole game. She looks
Really.
so rad. Um, but I couldn't roll her. But it was like I had like over 200 saved up to roll for her with that, and so that was like a solid, I don't know, like 6 or 7 rolls that I was able to get for
Right.
her. So it's not great, but just because the biggest part about it is that their rates are just so awful. So it's like,
Yeah.
um, and so like the probability of you getting like the character, especially like her, where she's like the highest rarity, is just like it's super difficult just because their probabilities are so low. Um, but I have quite a few characters that I like that I've been able to like save up, luckily through like saving and like spending here and there. But yeah, I mean it's not too bad.
Yeah. I
It's all
always I
just about
can't
like
stand
moderation.
I can't stand like loot box randomization shit.
Yeah, I think that's the part that like I hate the most about it is that like I mean, I get why they do it, but
Oh
I
yeah.
just wish I could get to the point where it's just like I just want her. Like even if I could just buy like one copy of her once,
Yeah.
and I'd pay like $10 or whatever, and just have her. Like I would just do that.
So yeah, that's even worse for that because you don't like I fell down the loot box hole only with Overwatch,
Yeah,
right? So I had the character. I
yeah,
just had wanted the skin. So it was all
hmm
optional shit, right? But
yeah,
to have to pay to potentially just get a character, that would piss me off even more.
yeah. It's the opposite with that because in here it's like you pay for trying to roll for whatever characters you want, but a lot of not all the characters, but they have a lot of like alternate costumes for characters in game, and those are like you don't have to like pay money for those. You just have to save up the materials that you need to like unlock the costume or whatever. But so in that sense, it's like it's reversed in that aspect. But yeah,
Right. That's annoying.
yeah, but yeah, it's all just about moderation and like making sure that you're like like where your limits are at with like what you can be spending each month.
Yeah. And
I
because
try not. I try not to spend like if I'm gonna spend like then that's like all right, this is all I'm gonna spend like for the month, and I'm not gonna spend any more until like
right.
next month.
And then
So
it's also easy on iPhone if you use the fucking face verification, just fucking boop
yeah.
boop 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 boop,
Boop,
just
boop,
the
boop.
fucking
Well, I
next thing
mean,
you know.
my iPhone's too old for that, but I just got the thumbprint, so it's like boop, and then
Oh,
just
okay,
like
the same thing, same
yeah.
thing.
So it's like it's super. It's a lot of resisting the temptation, having a
Yeah.
strong willpower.
Oh,
But
I get that, man. That shit's hard.
yeah, but yeah, that was the main thing I was playing through, finishing up that, and then
Nice.
played some more Yakuza, like a dragon. Didn't get too far into that though. I've almost got my full party. Um, we got to the point where it was like um, the main guy that you originally got your party started with before you get shot. Spoiler, it's not really a spoiler. It happens like the second chapter of the game. But before you get shot, you're like trying to infiltrate the meeting with him. He like went away so that you could get into the meeting. So he's back now, along with like the homeless guy, which is like your mage of the group. So all I'm missing is like the female, I guess. I'm not sure what character. I guess she's supposed to be like a rogue like character, I guess. Because the other detective that you get is like the tank, kind of, and then I can't remember his name. Masugo, I think is his name. I think the main guy's name, but he's like he's your main DPS, and then you've got the homeless guy, which is like your mage. So I've got them in the party right now, and so then I've only got her left, I think, because I think it's only the 4 party members. I don't think there's really like switching out, at least from what I've seen. I don't know, maybe there is, but yeah, I'm liking that game a lot. I had this problem. I don't know if you have this problem, but it was like because it's gotten to the point where it's like I'm like especially with like mo- doing more VTuber stuff and stuff like that. But I feel like I'm almost always constantly like listening to something else while I'm playing, especially when like playing my gotcha, like my Fate game or like Genshin, where it was like, there's really not a need for me to like be listening to what's going on, where I can just like have a podcast or whatnot in the background. It feels weird because it's like Yakuza is like such a story heavy game that like
Mhm.
I don't want to like have that other stuff on, and so it's hard for me to like boot it up because it's like, okay, if I'm gonna boot this up, I'm not listening to anything else. Like
Mhm.
I'm turning off the podcast. Like I'm only listening to the Yakuza because like I'm enjoying this story and I like want to get more into it. But it's like hard for me like to like flip that switch in my brain where it's like, okay, I'm gonna like turn the background noise off and we're just gonna only do Yakuza now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have that problem. I understand what you're saying for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I have that problem more in the sense of like, hey, I can play this game, or I can do something that's more passive and just like watch a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the same thing, but I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Because I don't listen to podcasts that much anymore, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have my podcast app is just like backloaded with shit that I haven't listened to.
Yeah.
Um, so I really don't listen to podcasts that much anymore, anyways. But um, so I get what you're saying. I do, but I think most games that I play don't need audio
Yeah, I feel like
currently.
most of them don't, but a lot of mine don't. But I mean, there's those couple of few where it's like, you've got
Probably if I was playing like Last of Us or something, then yeah, I would want to listen to it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a couple of few like Yakuza, and then it was like I also wanted to try to like get back into Death Stranding,
Yeah.
just because I feel like I really didn't give that game a much of a chance. There was too, because I think that I would got that at the same time like that I would started playing like Star Wars, and like Star Wars like ended up taking more of my attention just because that's an easier game to like jump
Right.
into the Death Stranding. But I've been wanting to get into Death Stranding, but it's that same shit where it's like, all right, this is a story heavy game. I'm like, gotta turn everything else off and like
Mm-hmm.
fucking pay attention to it because it's Hideo Kojima. If you're not paying attention, you're gonna not know what's going on in
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Exactly.
So, um, but yeah, so it's like I don't know. I didn't know if you'd. I just was wondering if you'd have like a similar situation to that where it's just like trying to switch off that part of your brain.
I mean, again, like, I don't really. I have more of a tangential thing, which is like,
Mm-hmm.
why should I play a game? I put so much work where I can just watch a movie.
Mm.
Because playing a game is active, whereas watching movies passive, and I can be lazy and sit here and watch a movie, and I'm getting the entertainment because I'm
Yeah.
playing a game mostly for the story, anyways. So how about I just get the story from an easier thing, which is just shoved into my eyeballs, versus like me having to like do work to get the story.
Yeah.
That's why my
So this
gaming.
reminds me of another thing that just popped in my head, which is what is easier for you to like pick up time wise? Is it easier for you to like pick a movie and like boot that up, or is it easier for you to like pick a series and be like, all right, I'm gonna like start this series? Because for me, it's like I don't know. For me, it's always more. I don't know. I feel like they're both kind of difficult because it's like I don't know if I feel like it gets to the point where it's like it's easier for me to in one sense it's like easier for me to start a series because I'm like, oh, this is like an hour, like a 30-minute long episode. But it's like I also get in that mindset where it's like, all right, if I pick this up, unless I really, really hate it, I'm probably gonna end up like going through the whole thing. And so that's like a bigger time crunch than like a movie. But then it's also like I look at a movie, I'm like, oh, this movie's like 2 hours. So I have to like put aside like 2 hours to like sit down and watch this. So I don't know.
Um, it really I'm so picky of what I watch.
Okay.
I'm very picky of what I watch, especially when it comes to shows.
Yeah.
Because if I don't like it within not even an episode, if I don't like it within 10 minutes,
Hmm.
I'm not watching it. I
Okay.
don't. I don't. I probably start.
So I do not. I am not that unforgiving. So that maybe that's
I'm.
my
No,
problem.
I am. I am vicious.
Yeah.
If in the first 10 minutes if your theme song sucks, I'm probably done.
Mm,
I'm
okay.
so picky because my time is valuable to me
Right.
in the sense of like I could be watching something that I know is good, right?
Right.
And the search for me to find new series that are good, it's constant. It's an everyday searching. But the
Hmm.
problem is that like I will not sacrifice quality or my standard for like to waste 8 hours of my time or 12 hours or 22 44-minute episodes or whatever the fuck I don't.
Right.
I have to find something that I like about it for me to be willing to put the time in. Like last night was the premiere of season 3 of Magnum PI, right?
Hmm.
I like Magnum PI. I think it's a fun show. Is it a great show? Fuck no, it's not. It's not as good as the original show. It's not even on that level. But I enjoy the show, and it's something that my girlfriend and I watch together because we both enjoy it for the sake that it's like a CBS surface level, stupid fucking 44-minute long. Oh no, we're gonna solve the episode in 44 minutes, right? That's the kind of show that it is, and I'm fine with that. But I can find what I like about it. I like Hawaii. I like Hawaiian shirts. I like the characters that work together in their atmosphere. I like that, right? But I've seen shows that people tell me I should like. Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is so good. I go, okay, well, I like about Game of Thrones. There's not enough action in it. And people be like, people are like, oh, there's action in the later seasons. Okay, well, I've seen the first season, and it's a Game of Thrones. It's not a game of fucking Battlefield.
Yeah.
And like, I don't care. True. I don't care about that. And like, also the big complaint of Game of Thrones is like, there's no happiness. And I don't like that. I love dark, gritty, death shows. I like that stuff. Gangs of London's a perfect example from recently. The Raid. I love all that shit, right?
Right.
But also, if everyone blows in your show, I don't fucking care. If everyone sucks in your show, I don't care.
If you kill off your best actor in the first season,
don't care. I don't care. So I'm always going through Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime or whatever to find a new show, and I will start episode 1 on 1,000 shows a year, and maybe I watch 3.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Interesting.
I'll power through a movie more often than not. Still, first 10 minutes of a movie, I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on. Nope, don't like this. Move on. But if I like the actor, I'll power through it.
I think for me, it's like, I don't know. It gets to the point where it's like, I think it's, sometimes I feel like, I don't know, I guess it just depends on my mood or my mindset, because sometimes I feel like it's easier for me to watch a movie, and sometimes I'm more willing to like pick up a series. I guess it's more for like what I'm in the mood to watch, but like, as far as like, I don't know, because for me, I really don't like, I usually am not like one of those people where it's like, I give this like 10 to 15 minutes and like that's my cutoff point. Probably because I'm more like, I don't know, I feel like I'm very picky about like my synopsises. Like you've got to, especially with Netflix stuff, like you really got to grab me with that synopsis, because like,
oh yeah,
if I don't think the premise is interesting, I'm like, I'm not even gonna give it like 10 minutes. I'll be like, nope, scroll to the next thing.
Oh yeah, that's a given for sure. Yeah, that's an automatic. Like, if Netflix cover art is shitty, hey, not watching it. It's something as surface level as that. Like it really is. There's too many shows out there, and too many movies that I haven't seen for me to be like, yeah, I'm gonna watch that. Like, no, you have to reel me in with everything. The synopsis has to be right, and the problem is too, like, that's not written by the show. That's written by Netflix. So the show could be an amazing show, but this insert Korean shows, a billion Korean shows on Netflix. That Korean show could be really good, but because the synopsis is a fucking Korea boo joke, not watching it. Or the cover art's like some fucking like, or even, here's the big problem with me, with Korean shows in particular, is that the premise could sound awesome on Netflix, right? And the cover art could actually be decent looking, like the thumbnail. But then the main characters are always like pretty boys, like small pretty boys. It'd be like secret agent, former special ops agent, and then he's like a fucking thin boy with a bowl cut. No, hey, you're 20 years old. You're a nobody.
Yeah.
You're nobody, right? So I'm not gonna watch you because automatically my level of disbelief is so fucking out the door that I'm not giving you a shot, because guess what, Jingwoo? You're not that. You're not that. What I mean? Like, I know it's a TV show, whatever. Now, if you were like superhero, fucking, okay, that's different. That's different. Powers, whatever. But there's so many cool like crime thriller shows that are Asian or Korean, especially Korean, where it's like super investigator, Sherlock Holmes inspired detective. I'm like, yeah, you're 19. You're 19. You're not a sergeant for your police department. You are in college.
Yeah.
Like, now if it was like 19-year-old Hardy Boys inspired, okay, All right, give me what's going on. See what you show me.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
that's that's my current big dilemma is Korean shows.
Okay.
So
Interesting. I haven't delved too much into Korean shows. I've watched a couple of Korean movies, but not really too many Korean shows.
oh yeah, I've seen so many more Korean movies than I have Korean shows. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also a lot of Korean shows. From my limited knowledge, really like so much romance.
Yeah, that's a big
It's a
thing
lot
for
of
them.
romance in what I've seen so far, and
It
that's
seems like they're
fine.
very
But
drama-heavy shows.
yeah, I don't need that. I just need some. I just need kicking. I just need taekwondo.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair.
Cool.
Well, that's what I've been checking out this week. Jason,
All right.
what have you been checking out?
I got a couple things on my list. I said last week that the first thing I was going to do after the podcast was buy Mortal Kombat 11 and then watch First Blood. Well,
I did re-download Mortal Kombat 11.
Okay.
Uh,
The first thing I did was watch First Blood. Yeah, it's First Blood.
It's First Blood.
And then I bought
You
Mortal
can
Kombat
go back
11.
to our old podcast episode to hear our thoughts about First Blood.
You can do that absolutely from a year and a half ago or whatever.
Yes.
And then I downloaded MK11 Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't have Ultimate. I just have regular.
Okay.
So I realized that I have no DLC characters, and I was like,
Right.
fuck.
Yeah, I bought MK11 Ultimate or Ultimate MK11, whatever the fuck the proper title is.
Mm-hmm.
I put a couple hours in, just kind of practicing. I played like one tower, just hanging out, just running some combos. And
were you playing Rambo, or who did you pick up?
I play Rambo for fun, but I'm playing Liu Kang.
Okay.
This is the best fighting game of all time. Straight up,
Damn,
it's the best
strong
fighting game.
words.
And on different levels, right?
Okay.
One, just presentation wise, like why would
It's a very good looking game.
well, like why wouldn't I like Mortal Kombat? I'm gonna say this too. I mentioned this last week, but I'm gonna say it again. I'm not a Mortal Kombat fan. I have never been a fan of the series. I've been a fan of the movies when I was a kid, but the games I played like 3 or 2 or like whatever games on the PS1. I played that game a lot, but I never really like since then from to now, 20 years later, fucking 25 years later, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Never cared. Not a huge fan. Going to the arcade, not playing that. I'm playing MVC2.
Yeah.
I'm playing other games. I'm playing, DOA or some shit. I picked DOA over fucking Mortal Kombat. That's the kind of guy that I was.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons.
There's a lot of reasons. Mostly they're on girls.
Yes.
So, this is the first game I bought in ever, probably since that last PS1 game. And it is very pretty, and the animation is so smooth. And to me, it makes no sense why I wouldn't like it, because the whole game is based on like, hey, are you an action movie fan? You like fucking martial arts movies? Hey, here you go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's exactly what this is. It's just martial arts movies. It's like fans of 80s action movies made a game. Here you go.
Yeah.
I didn't get that till now, and I'm like, okay, I gotcha. I understand.
Yeah, I think more so with this one, especially, just like the terms of like where they're pushing DLC characters and guest characters, it feels like this one is definitely more 80s action inspired, because the last one was much more like, I would say the last one was much more of like, not so much an action game, it was much more like horror centric.
Well, I mean, just even in the sense of like the main MK characters, like it's a martial arts movie. Like if you go to like Ed Boon's Instagram or Twitter, like his bio is like, I make a game about robots and ninjas.
Yeah.
Okay. Copy that, So I bought it, and I run through some Liu Kang stuff, just picking characters and running through some basic trials. And I told you on text, but I'm gonna say it again on the podcast, is that this game has the best training mode in any game ever.
Yeah, I
Straight
think
up.
it's I think it goes up there with Guilty Gear's tutorial, because Guilty Gear's tutorial was also like, especially for like getting you into the Guilty Gear world, I think it's up there with like, I think they're two equivalent. I think they're both like the best of like, specifically like what tutorials can be and like what you need to be able to get out of your tutorial. In
this game, the fact that you start at the very top of the tutorial list, and it's basics, and it goes into combos, and then advanced combos, and then canceling, and all this stuff, and then it goes breaks down the basics of every character, like in terms of like what you need to play the game to be effective. And then it has character specific tutorials, and then it has the ability to input moves on the screen while you're playing the game.
Yeah.
So I'm not having to go back to the move list. I can sit there and put them on screen and work on the combo in the middle of training. Whereas like if I'm playing Street Fighter, I have to go back to the move, remember it. I can have the inputs there displayed when I'm inputting them, but in Mortal Kombat 11, I can have not only can I have the move on the screen, but I can also have the input in there. So I'm seeing the controller as I'm inputting it, the controller on the screen, and I'm seeing it there on the screen what I need to press. So I'm actively seeing what I'm doing wrong. So it's making me learn the combo better than any other game I've ever played.
Yeah.
So there's that. The characters as a whole, I have no connection to most of them because I don't play. I've never played Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah.
So I don't care about fucking Black Ninja Robot. I don't have any connection to any of these people. Sludge Robot or Blue Ninja, not Sub-Zero, or Purple Ninja Man.
Oh, Rain.
Rain. I know Scorpion, obviously. I know Sub-Zero, obviously. I know Johnny Cage because of the movie, obviously. I know Liu Kang because of the movie. Shang Tsung because of the movie, because he looks like the movie guy.
Yeah.
So I have a basic connection to some of the characters. I didn't know that Johnny Cage marries Sonya Blade.
Yeah.
I didn't know they have a kid. I didn't know Jackie is... I could have assumed that it was the daughter of Jax because of the name. Yeah. But like these characters that I don't know about, but they're all so cool looking. I haven't played story mode yet. I'm excited to play it. But I have... my biggest issue with Mortal Kombat 11... And it's the same thing we mentioned last week on the podcast, is that I spent 20 years of my life playing regular fighting games. I mean that in the sense of I can just naturally defend. Defending is not natural in this game.
No.
Defending is like a whole new... You have to really like think about defending.
Yeah. This is like, I think especially in this game, more so than like in almost any other game, I think the act of like countering and defending, but specifically like defending is like much more. You have to think about it a lot more.
Think about
you have to you have to commit to it as well.
Because I'm just playing fucking the tower, and I'm playing on medium basic difficulty, and I get to the top 3 bosses who are like way harder than the bottom 3, obviously, and I think I'm blocking because I'm playing Street Fighter in my mind. And again, also combos in Street Fighter don't go on this long. So I'm getting comboed the fuck out of. You know? And that's also a big hurdle for me, is that like you can play Street Fighter and not be a combo heavy player and still be fine. You can play Sagat style, or not Sagat style, you can play Abel style, you can play, Zangief style, which aren't super heavy, super duper combo dudes, you know, and still be fine. But you can't do that in this game. Like you still have to be able to combo.
At least do like a basic combo,
And like when I was looking online at YouTube videos for basic like Liu Kang combos, the combo that they give you in the game is not the basic combo in reality.
Yeah.
That's like, hey, learn this combo? Okay, cool. That's the first part.
Yeah.
Now insert the rest of these parts. And I'm like, fucking dude. Shit. Okay. You know, so it's getting that and also learning like the difference between like dial-in moves and like input moves. Because Mortal Kombat 11 has dial-in moves, which is like where in traditional fighting games, at least in other ones that I've played, is like, okay, you could do a combo, you input your inputs, and hopefully you hit confirm before you move into your next move, or if you're safe, you hit your move, you block, if you're safe, you back up, whatever, right? Whereas in Mortal Kombat 11, I'm not sure if any other games do this because I just don't know. Well, some moves are dial in. So to get the combo, you have to press all the buttons.
Yeah.
So you have to get... Like, Liu Kang has this kick, which is like... And I'm trying to learn the fucking pad number. So I think it's forward 3, 3, 3, 3. So forward X, 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 right? Which is his launcher kick. He hits you 4 times and launches you up. Well, that's a dial in. So you have to hit all 4 buttons.
Yeah.
Or else if you don't, you're just gonna get one kick, one low three or whatever for a 4-3.
Hmm.
But also, if they're blocking the first one, guess what? You're unsafe for the entire fucking string because you're
Yeah.
dialing. You can't do anything till it's done.
Yeah.
So having to figure that out too was like it's good and bad because I'm a rash comboer, aka
Mm.
I'm just gonna fucking just fucking mash that shit to make sure I get it,
Yeah.
which kills me in other games.
Hmm.
Like in Street Fighter, it really kills my combos, but in
Hmm.
this game, sometimes it actually is better for me because I get the moves already dialed in. Gotcha,
That's true.
I'm dialed in, baby. You know what I mean? Um, so
Yeah, I
I'm
think that's the
enjoying that.
biggest thing is yeah the string combos and like um yeah I think strings in particular I think it gets to a point where like I think there's definitely some of them where it's like you don't have to be completely dialed in but I know that the input window for like you getting to the next part is like very small.
Well,
So like
I'm working on this one Liu Kang combo
mhm,
where it's like 7 fucking parts,
yeah.
and I dial in my first part, which is the launcher, the kick thing. Then you
Mhm,
have to wait for him to fall only so much out of the sky, and then
yeah.
you hit 1 2, then 1 2 3 or whatever the fuck it is, 1 2 1, and
Mhm,
then special to finish it out. And I'm like, then you have to amplify, and
yeah.
you amplify at a certain point, and I'm like, it's fucking
Yeah.
math. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If the game wasn't fun and visually pretty and had like really great animation of like the actual martial arts stuff, I
Mhm,
wouldn't keep playing it because that's annoying as fuck. But
yeah.
the fact that the tutorial and the way to learn the moves is so intuitive,
Mm,
it makes it that I don't care because I'm seeing myself. I can look at the screen and look at the move string and
mhm.
input it and not have to worry about it.
Right.
Whereas I go for like Street Fighter or whatever, I have to press start, go to move list. Okay, back. Okay, gotcha. Okay, boom. Hold, what is it
Right.
again? Whereas with this game, I can literally build the combo out in the on my
Mhm.
screen, so I can see. Okay, no, 2-1, blah blah blah, and then I can just build it up. So eventually, I'm doing this whole combo because I put it on the screen for me.
Right.
Where that's to me is like every game should be doing that.
Yeah, I think that's the best part. I mean, Tekken has a similar thing to that where it's like you can have one, but Tekken's thing is you can only have one move on the time at a screen or like one string at a time on the screen. And yeah, I definitely like that aspect of it a lot. Of like, yeah, especially if you're trying to like learn a combo, the ability to like build out your entire combo on screen, I think is super
It's amazing.
useful.
It's
Yeah.
it's especially for a game that where the whole game is combos.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think of that games don't have. Like in Street Fighter, you can pull it off
Mhm.
because you're not doing this in Street Fighter. You're
Yeah.
not bouncing people and juggling.
Yeah.
But if you fucking were, I would hope that you could have like GHC cancel into
Hmm.
fucking Shimpu whatever the fuck whatever. But
Yeah.
so I'm playing that. I'm enjoying that. My biggest problem is that it's cosmetic. There's so many costumes in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
I think
lot.
that's cool. I'm all about the costumes. I'm fine with how you get them. You have to play the towers or play the crypt or whatever. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
My issue is that Liu Kang doesn't have a regular ass skin at first. He has like the evil skin.
Yeah.
So I have to play. I had to play some stuff with him to get the regular skin because I hate the zombie looking one.
Yeah,
Um,
I
other
don't
than
like the zombie looks for them either.
other than
Um,
that, I'm fine with it. Fine with it.
yeah, it's like half the cast is like zombies at the start because they all died in Mortal Kombat
Yeah,
10.
there's like 5 or 6 people,
No.
and thankfully I only care about 2 of those people, which is like Liu
Yeah.
Kang and Kung Lao.
Hmm.
Johnny Cage's his first skin is like the old guy skin, like older guy.
Yeah.
Skin. I don't care about that. I want like young, like
Hmm.
popping, Johnny Cage. So I have to
Yeah.
work on that. But other than that, playing Mortal Kombat 11, I'm really enjoying that.
Hmm.
A couple movies I watched this week. I watched Showdown in Little Tokyo, which is a
Okay.
90s action movie with Dolph Lundgren and Brandon Lee,
Ooh.
which is about you love this summary.
All right.
So L.A., I believe, or San Francisco, somewhere in California,
Okay.
uh, Asia town,
Okay.
Japanese yakuza, whatever.
Right.
Big crime wave happening, and Dolph Lundgren is the guy who works in Asia town. He's like their go-to Asia cop. because he grew up in
Okay.
Japan. He grew up raised in Japan because a Yakuza samurai killed his parents when he was a kid. He grew up in an orphanage, so he learned Japanese culture. His new partner is Japanese American cop Brandon Lee,
Okay.
but he's like third generation raised in Orange County, so he has no connection to his heritage. So white Dolph Lundgren is more Japanese
My God.
than the actual Asian guy. And then they fight Shang Tsung, and
Oh damn, that's
he's
pretty
the
dope
big
though.
bad guy. And it's an action movie from the '90s, and it's really good. It's really good. It's a really
Okay.
good movie if you can get beyond that white savior complex. It's really good and it's really fun. And there's two great things about this movie, and they're both
Okay.
sexual. So my review is the movie's great. You should watch it, Zach. It's a really fun movie if you have time. Brandon Lee. It makes me so sad that he's dead, and he died so young because he between watching Rapid Fire a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I've seen The Crow 1,000 times, but
Yeah.
I'd never really dived in his career until like recently. And then seeing this, I'm like, this guy would have been the fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like he would have been amazing, if he had like more time.
Yeah.
Um, so Showdown in Little Tokyo, two scenes in particular that are amazing. The first one is Shang Tsung, or the whatever his name is, Hatagi, whatever. The guy who plays Shang Tsung in the Mortal Kombat movie and the game now.
Mm-hmm.
He's the big bad gangster. And in the beginning of the movie, there's a girl who's like on to him in his crime syndicate. He's like, she's being iffy. So he
Okay.
brings her up to, and she's like a heroin addict.
Okay.
She's like a white blonde girl. So he brings her up to his crib, his like office, and all his guys are in there with him, like watching. And he's like behind her, like making out, like playing with her boobs. Like her
Okay.
her boob pops out. He's like playing with her boob. He's like going down the downtown, right? And
God.
she's like oh, like, she's like digging it. And Shang Tsung like lets his hand out to his henchman guy who I've seen before, but I don't remember where I've seen him. I think I saw him in Three Ninjas, but
Okay.
they're all Japanese Asian guys. He puts his hand out while he's touching her girl's boobie, and then his fucking henchman hands him a katana. Boom. And while
Okay.
he's playing with her boobies, he fucking cuts her head off. Right?
My
Like
God.
and that's all filmed.
Okay.
So flash forward later, there's another girl they're trying to kill who's best friends with that girl, and he shows her the video of him grabbing her friend's boobie and cutting her head off to like scare her. And I'm
My
like, what the
God.
fuck, dude? So that girl is saved by Dolph Lundgren,
Okay.
This
Not
is-
Brandon Lee.
not Brandon Lee, because Brandon Lee's like kind of like I know martial arts, but I'm still kind of a young, goofy cop.
Okay.
So he saves her, Dolph Lundgren, takes her back to his place, and is like, okay, hey, I gotta go do my job. If you hear anybody coming, you shoot them.
Blow them.
And then
away.
she's like, okay, well, what if I hear you coming? He goes, you won't. Flash forward even later, they have their of course sex scene that happens, right?
Right. Sexy times.
So
Yeah.
she's like on top of him doing Asian girl riding stuff,
Okay.
and then she comes back down like to like they're done the post sex scene,
Right.
and then he goes, she says, I thought you said I wouldn't hear you coming. I heard you coming that time.
My gosh. Oh my God. What the?
She was like, I heard you coming
my
that time,
God.
or something like that. And
my
I
God.
literally, I had to pause the movie, and it was an audible ugh. Ugh. It was.
It's not something I want to hear to start my day.
It makes me feel like the writers of this movie, like, clearly they had that line written first,
Yeah.
and they go, okay, how can we get her to say this? Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll make sure 20 minutes before this we have this one little bit that way we can make sure that this girl says this line.
Oh God.
So that's two things in the movie. Other than that, it's really good. Some really good action.
Okay.
There's a cool fight scene in the movie where they're at Dolph Lundgren's house, which guess what, Zach? It's a Japanese house. He built it himself.
Oh my God.
So he has like the wooden mats and the fucking like
I was
whatever.
but he's got his fucking tatami mats and shit.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
he has like a sword case and all this shit.
Oh, of course he does.
So other than that, it's a really fun movie. It's just super like 90s.
Okay.
Then I watched The Debt Collector, which is a Scott Adkins movie.
I feel like I'd heard of this.
It's on Netflix. 1 and 2 on Netflix. Number 2 just came out recently,
Okay.
and it's good. It's really fun action, straight to DVD, Scott Adkins stuff. Really enjoyed it. I haven't seen part 2 yet, but part 1's really good. Second to last thing, real quick about wrestling, real fast. This past Wednesday was AEW Winter is Coming, which is like their TV special that they're doing.
Okay.
John Moxley versus Kenny Omega for the AEW Championship. Kenny
I saw
Omega,
something on Twitter.
yep.
Apparently.
Kenny Omega wins. He's the new champ. And then he runs out the building with Don Callis, who is the like executive vice president or something of TNA Impact.
I saw
And they
that.
say, "Hey, we'll see you on Impact on Tuesday."
Okay.
So now everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
I saw that, and I saw the other thing, which
Sting.
is that Sting is, I guess, coming to AEW, which I didn't know Sting was still wrestling. So
Yeah, neither do we.
okay, fair
So
enough.
I'm in a Facebook group I talked about before, like a pop culture group,
Mm-hmm.
and people like wrestling. They comment on it, and I was commenting on it, and I realized quickly, I've noticed a couple times that these people like wrestling, but they don't like wrestling like me. That sounds really
Right.
snobby, but it's a sense of like they don't eat it and consume it like I do. Like
Right.
they don't break it down more, like the business, right? Because like I commented like, if Sting can work, cool, I'm all about it, right? But if he can't work, I don't want to see it. And then I commented, Kenny Omega getting the belt for AEW is great, cool. Working relationship with TNA, cool, it's awesome. But that's going to put the TNA Impact champion in a really weird booking position because you have Kenny Omega, the best wrestler in the world at the time, right now, a new champ for AEW, going to a different promotion. Is he going to wrestle the TNA champion? Because if they do, you have to pick is the company going to sacrifice their own person to win? If you're going to let the guy go over,
Right.
that's bad for your company unless you're going to allow, because so here's the booking problem. Rich Swann is the current Impact champion. He is not better than Kenny Omega, and everyone knows that. So when
Right.
Kenny goes there, and if they wrestle, he will not go over on Kenny, right? So Kenny would have to go over on him if it's a title match. But you're sacrificing your own homegrown champion to the other company's champion.
Right.
So that's perfectly fine if you're going to do an invasion style angle, because Kenny Omega is already a champion of two different companies. He's a champion of AAA Mexico and now AEW. So if he comes to TNA or Impact or whatever and wins that belt, now he has 3. Now AEW has a relationship with NWA, which is owned by the guy from Smashing Pumpkins.
Okay.
He could wrestle that guy and win that belt and has the NWA championship, but now he could be the championship of 4 different companies. That could be a really interesting storyline, right?
Okay.
So I say all that in my comment, like, oh, it's interesting booking position. And this guy responds to me, oh, there's no way that Kenny's going to stay at Impact. And I was like, he's like, oh, he's AEW through and through. And my comment was, oh, that was never a question.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucking wrestling.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega is the executive vice president of AEW.
Yeah.
Why would what? Like, think through this.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, gosh, these people are not as deep as I am in pro wrestling.
Right.
Because I'm thinking moves ahead. Like, okay, what's the booking position? Because like, there's no way that would be like if fucking Kenny went to WWE and like Kenny just fucking stomps out Roman Reigns and takes the belt back to AEW. What are you fucking talking about? Like,
Yeah.
how do you book that? There's no good way to book that.
Yeah.
And you can't have Kenny Omega come to the Impact and not wrestle their champion because he's wrestle mid carders. Like
Yeah.
that's cool and all, but you would have to have him be champ versus champ.
I would assume that the way you would get around that, I guess, was that you would do champ versus champ, but the first one at least would probably be a non-title match, and then you get longer booking down the line.
And even then, you still can't go over on Kenny.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Kenny Omega, no one's gonna believe anyone would go over on Kenny.
Yeah.
The guy who just beat John Moxley? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It would have to be like, okay, Sting beats Kenny Omega. Chris
Mm-hmm.
Jericho beats Kenny Omega. It can't
Right.
be like fucking Rich. Who the fuck is Rich Swann?
Wasn't he the guy from like the cruiserweight
He's a
division that
super.
WWE
He
was
is a
doing?
super duper lightweight guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, now if it
I
was
remember
like
him from like, wasn't he at like the Cruiserweight 365 or whatever that when we saw that live SmackDown show?
he
Like,
might have
wasn't he
been.
there?
He might have been. No, it could be like the only way it could happen is like, okay, AEW, New Japan Pro, working relationship, Kenta or Tanahashi or Okada
Mm-hmm.
comes down, and those people are at Kenny Omega's level, and the world of wrestling fans understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But even if Kenny wins the Impact Championship, Zach, he's gonna have to drop it eventually. So who do you have? Who's he gonna lose to drop the belt? You know, like
I don't even know TNA's talent to be able to like answer that question.
it's all people who just left WWE who are the big dogs.
Okay.
So it's so weird to me, and it's also weird for me that people don't like think about it the way that
Right.
I do. But they watch it and they consume it, but they're still marks. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I'm not trying to be a smart mark, but like, no, duh, Kenny was never gonna stay at TNA. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? He's a millionaire. You think Tony Khan's gonna be like, yeah, just stay at TNA? You
Yeah.
fucking dummy. Shit pissed me off, Zach. Also, flash forward. So flashback a couple weeks ago at Survivor Series. Same fucking group, different guy.
Okay.
This fucking guy talked about Undertaker's retirement.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, yeah, Undertaker's he's gonna retire here. And I was like, I commented back being like, yeah, I don't believe he's gonna retire. I think there's gonna be a new Saudi Arabia match to come out. It's gonna be a lot of money. He's gonna wrestle. I don't think he's happy with his final match being the fucking not real match.
Yeah.
Right? And the guy was like, no, well, he came out and said he was happy with it. I go, yeah, I get that. I just don't believe him. Because Undertaker's a very old school guy.
Yeah.
You don't think he's going to want to have an actual wrestling match be his last match?
Yeah.
He said that 1,000 times in his documentaries that he loved Shawn Michaels' final match. It was a match. Shawn was happy with it on his own terms. He retired. Taker never got that. Taker got the AJ Styles fucking videotape match action sequence.
Yeah.
Now, for maybe most people, that's probably fine, but I don't believe that Undertaker, as a professional wrestler, who for 30 years did not break kayfabe in that sense,
Yeah.
is going to be happy riding off into the sunset with a not actual professional wrestling match between the ropes.
Right.
There's just no way. And these guys were not like, they didn't comprehend that until I broke it down.
Yeah.
And I was like, am I a dick? Or do people or am I talking to people who just think of wrestling on a surface level
I think that's part of it.
and just don't dive in? Am I just more fanatical? Because like I feel like the guys, none of these people watch New Japan, none of these people watch All Japan. They just watch WWE and they watch AEW because it's the other thing on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking like, this is easy to understand that Sting coming back to pro wrestling is a bad thing. Because WCW went under because all they did was hire old timers.
Yeah.
Literally, all they did was hire old timers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all AEW has been doing. Literally, they have all these old people on the roster who are
Do
knowledgeable.
they? Who else do they have now?
Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, the Brainbusters. They got fucking Sting now. They have all these dudes who are coming in, and then they're not working. They're just playing manager roles. Jake the Snake, like all these people. But that takes booking time away from the younger talent.
Right.
Even if it's not working time, it's like screen time, and screen time is money. So they're booking Sting. Like, what are we gonna expect here? 5-star match from Sting? He's 60. What are we gonna do? Because people are complaining about Chris Jericho, and how Chris Jericho looks, and how he's working, because he's 50.
Yeah.
And he looks 50. He looks good for 50, but he looks 50.
Yeah.
Right? And he's not the same Chris Jericho. as he was 20 years ago, and that's fine because that's called aging.
Yeah.
But we think that Sting is going to be any better. Sting started wrestling in the fucking like early 80s.
Yeah.
We think he's going to come out there and fucking be the same fucking dude that he was in 1995.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, hype for it. I'm like, you fucking dummies. I don't know,
Yeah.
Zach.
I
don't
get that.
it, dude. I love Sting. I do.
Mhm.
I really do. I don't care for Crow Sting that much. I care for his original colorful rainbow Sting.
Mm.
I do like Crow Sting. He is cool. But he's not going to walk out AEW with his trench coat and his little bat and then intimidate motherfuckers where I can see the wrinkles on his face.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
It's going to be the downfall of AEW, besides just bad booking. Which goes back to...
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I heard, I don't know specifically because I haven't been keeping up just because I don't have cable, so it's hard for me to keep up with any of this outside of like pay-per-views and stuff like that. But I saw another thing with like Jim Cornette, and I guess he was talking about they have some storyline going on with Taz right now,
Yeah.
and they're like, I don't know. I mean, I get where he's coming from with that, because it's the whole problem that I've kind of like had with Cody the whole time, which is like he's the president of the company, but he's also a wrestler, but he like pretends that he like can take those hats off. And I'm like, no, motherfucker, like I just watched you wrestle. Like you can't like pretend that you're some neutral party when I just saw you in the ring like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and thankfully, I think the Young Bucks, Kenny and Cody, have really been underbooked the entire time, the entire existence. They haven't been booked well. They're booked well now because, well, Cody's not champion anymore, the TNT champion. The Young Bucks are now the tag team champs, and Kenny's the champ. So, but it took them a year and a half to really to get there. And it's not like it's not like it's hard to believe that they're champions because they're all good wrestlers. You know what I mean? Like if they were bad wrestlers, I'd be like, okay, this makes sense. But they're good. That's why they were able to make a business. And they were underbooked the entire time, so I'm not worried about that. But it can get like you're giving yourself so much screen time because that's what brings money. Because people are watching because of you guys. I get it.
Yeah.
But where Adam Page was like the young guy who's supposed to be like the guy, and they had him go against Jericho for the first belt, he loses, and put like this long year of him tagging with Kenny, tag champs, and not really doing much. We know he's gonna go against Kenny at some point to win the belt. We know that's obvious booking. But they're like, there's so many young talents they keep hiring, and they're not really doing anything with them. And they're hiring more people who are like the Young Bucks, which I don't care about. So they're hiring young people who are young, and old people who are old. And only a few people who are actually like 10 years, 20 years coming in are being hired, who are like established like names who are currently working. Like Brian Cage was one of them, Lance Archer is one of them. But other than that, you know, they hired Matt Sydal, who was like Evan Bourne in WWE.
Right.
Like, I don't fucking care about him. Who the fuck is that guy? He's a 40-year-old jobber. No, he's not. He's not a jobber. People like him. He's good. But like, I don't saying like he's another high flyer. You're not bringing in like someone who's like a 6'3", muscled up guy who can put the ropes to these big guys.
Yeah, it seems like they don't. I think the main problem it seems is that there's just not a lot of diversity in their roster.
They have three big dudes. You have Jake Hager, Brian Cage, and you have Lance Archer. And then you have Wardlow, who's a big guy, but he's not there yet. He's a new wrestler, so he's still learning. He has a lot of potential, though. So you have four dudes, but you have the rest of the guys are like 5'11", which is perfectly fine, but they're not. None of them are powerhouse dudes.
Yeah.
So you have guys who are doing so much high flyy shit, which is cool, but what everyone's doing like I said before, everyone's doing high flyy shit, like
gets old really fast.
It gets old, and it's hard for me to believe when you throw a power move out there that's actually powerful.
Yeah.
There's a reason why, and I'm gonna end it here before we move into our next segment, but was a pro wrestler in New Japan named um, Will Ospreay.
I remember this
And
name.
Will Ospreay is he's a big people like him, people hate him. He had a lot of drama recently, but I'm not talking about the drama.
Mm-hmm.
Purely as a professional wrestler, he is so athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking backflips and 360 flips and fucking all these. He's insane. So many fucking flips. And when I first saw him 4 or 5 years ago, he was super scrawny, cruiserweight kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's packed on a lot of pounds for his body frame. So they're pushing him into the heavyweight, you know, talk, which I think is still not very, whatever. He's
Mm-hmm.
athletic as shit. And he started putting in these new moves, and his moves set there are more power moves. But if
Mm-hmm.
you watch him wrestle, it really is like watching someone choreograph a dance. And also like there's so many posing and poses and like setups for other things, and like some
Mm-hmm.
people really dig that. I don't dig that.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's like I like wrestling, and it's two people working together. But if I can see you guys working together, I kind of lose the interest because it's supposed to be also competitive, like in the visual presentation.
Right.
Like, so if I'm watching Ric Flair, chop somebody, like I don't want to see the guy like leaning into the chop. I want to see Ric
Mm-hmm.
Flair fucking laying the chops in, you know. Whereas like a Will Ospreay match, it's like a lot of the moves have to have so much setup, and then we're gonna go on the top rope. I'm gonna wait there for 15 seconds so the people can get ready to catch me. And like
Mm-hmm.
when you see people jump off top ropes, the thing about this, right? When Jeff Hardy was the only guy off the top rope, it was fucking cool,
Yeah.
right? Because you didn't see that people had to catch everybody.
Yeah.
When you knew that only one dude did super kicks, you didn't notice him slapping his leg.
Yeah.
But now everyone's super kicks, so everyone notices the slap to the leg.
Mm-hmm.
And when everyone's off the top rope, you see how much it takes for people to catch them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, we're fighting. Why
Yeah.
would I catch you? It's pro wrestling, I get that, but also like when you have everyone doing that spot, like
Mm-hmm.
all you see is okay, here's five guys waiting to catch him,
Yeah.
which is all it becomes. Is like okay, be one guy top rope, five dudes in the fucking. We're gonna dump everyone out of the ring. We're all
Mm-hmm.
gonna be woozy for 30 seconds. Oh, he's ready. Okay, catch him. And
Yeah.
you see that all across the industry, and it's
Interesting.
the dumbest looking spot of all time. When you
Okay.
because it's so oftenly done.
Right.
If it happened for one guy or one two dudes, you wouldn't notice it. But now that like, okay, Kenny does it, the Bucks do it, go over to WWE, the Usos do it, this guy
Mm-hmm.
does it, this girl does it. Fucking who fucking cares?
Yeah.
So ultimately, Sting shouldn't be wrestling. That's my point.
That's the end of the point.
Also, my point was that like, am I a dick or am I just a bigger, more interested
Um,
in
I
wrestling?
think the problem with it is that it's not that you're a dick, but I think it gets to the point where it's just like, I mean, you clearly just know more than these people, and you're willing to dig more into it. Whereas, I mean, from what these people have said, it's clear that they're not wanting to dig more into it.
And that's
And so
fine.
I think they're
And
just
that's
more knowledgeable about what's
right.
going on and like what the game is than they are.
And that's perfectly fine to be at that level. I'm not trying to say they shouldn't. They should be or shouldn't be looking
Yeah,
into it. They're watching it and they're enjoying for what they're seeing. That's rad. I like what I'm seeing so much usually that I want to dive in more
yeah,
and listen to what Cornette says.
hmm
You know what I mean? Um, but the idea that fucking you thought that I was gonna sit there and say Kenny Omega was going to stay at Impact, eat two dicks, because that's fucking obviously not gonna happen.
yeah,
Yeah, you think Tony Khan, the guy who fucking made AEW,
hmm
who has the best wrestler in the world, who had offers from literally everywhere.
hmm
Triple H was trying to get Kenny. Everyone's trying to get Kenny, offering them fucking money.
yeah,
And you think that he's gonna go, oh no, he actually stole Kenny Omega to the Impact? Yo, it's called booking. Let's end that there
All right.
before I go even fucking more into fucking dummies. Zach, do you want let's talk about this real quick, man.
All right, lay it on me.
Man, fucking Warner Brothers, bro.
They finally pulled the trigger. I can't believe that they actually did it. But they're finally going to do it. So wait. So my question about this is, I know about it, but this is the main thing. Main question that I'm going to have.
Yep.
Is this going to start with Wonder Woman?
I think so.
Because Wonder Woman's supposed to be out in like 3 weeks.
It's 3 weeks, yeah.
So that was my main thing. I was like, is this going to start with Wonder Woman, or is this going to start like after Wonder Woman? Also,
remember a couple weeks ago they already announced that she was going to be on HBO. So
oh, that's true. They did announce that. Yeah, that she was going to be doing that already.
yeah, so they announced her 3 weeks ago. So they probably just like said, you know what, fuck it, we'll announce one and go. You know what, let's just do it for all of them.
Yeah. And then I also just reading the list, I was like, I forgot how many bangers Warner Brothers has coming out.
So just
or supposed bangers, they're not out
right.
yet. So
to just do a quick rehash of the article.
Yeah.
The news update is that HBO Max is going to pretty much get all of WB's 2021 slate on
yeah,
HBO
basically
Max.
anything Warner Brothers is making is going to be on HBO Max at the same time that it's in theaters.
And this list rings out. Here's the list of some of the big hot tamales.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, Dune, Space Jam, In the Heights, Mortal Kombat, Godzilla vs. King Kong, and The Matrix 4.
Yeah.
So, all I want to see in 2021 is literally Ghostbusters, Matrix 4, Godzilla, Dune. I kind of want to see In the Heights now because I've been a huge fan of Hamilton. It's the same guy who made
Still
Hamilton.
need to watch Hamilton.
It's good.
But,
I enjoyed it.
And
also,
yeah, I mean,
obviously now I want to see Mortal Kombat now.
Yeah. And
obviously,
then,
I want to see that now.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at the list. I was like, oh, these are like all movies that I wanted to see. Like, I want to watch King Kong. I want to watch Suicide Squad. I want to watch Dune. I want to watch just like all the lists. I was like, oh, I really don't have to. I'm glad I don't have, because I already have HBO Max. So I was like, oh, I'm glad I don't have to like go to the theater. I mean, I'll probably still go to the theater to like watch Godzilla maybe, or like watch Dune, but it's like the option that was like, oh, I don't have to do that. I can just like watch it on streaming is like kind of cool.
In that same Facebook group I was talking about, this article was posted, and everyone was commenting on it, being like how they felt. And it's a podcast group, so the podcast hosts and the commented like, "This is not. I hate this. This is not a good thing, or whatever." And like a lot of people were commenting, pro, negative, whatever. And it's like my comment was, my thought process is the same thing that I've said before when this stuff first started happening, which is like, we saw this happen already with the video store.
Yeah.
Streaming ruined the video store.
Yeah.
It made it obsolete. It was only a matter of time before it hit the theater. And theaters thought that they were impenetrable because people don't want to see Star Wars in theaters.
Yeah.
Well, this proves that people don't care. Like the average moviegoer doesn't care.
I think that movie theaters got a false sense of security. Yeah, thinking that people want to see theaters, but I really think, like me and you, probably want to see stuff in theaters.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
I think for the majority of people, it's not that they want to watch stuff in theaters. It's that they want to be part of the cultural zeitgeist, and they want to be part of the conversation. And so you have to watch it in theaters, because otherwise you're waiting like 5 or 6 months for it to come out on like Blu-ray or DVD. If they don't have to wait, they can just watch it at home. Gonna watch it at home.
My comment in this post was this: the average moviegoer does not care about seeing what Neo and Trinity do on the big screen. I do. I care about seeing what Hong Kong bullshit they do.
Yeah.
But the average fan just wants to get the next piece of the story.
Yeah.
You know, they want to be able to go Netflix next episode. They don't care about the experience of seeing, Tenet on the screen. And clearly we saw that. That was the result of Tenet. No one cared.
Yeah.
And we're surprised that the WB is doing this. Like Tenet, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. If Christopher Nolan couldn't get butts in seats, and like nothing was going to.
You think that in Wonder Woman, they made a decision 3 weeks ago, a month ago. So you think that?
Yeah.
Why are you surprised? It's called the death of the movie industry.
Yeah.
AMC's president came out and responded, which was, here's the quote. Quote, clearly Warner Media intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of the profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidize its HBO Max startup, end quote. I mean, it's
I don't know. I mean, is it really like losing profitability? I don't know, because if you've got people that like, if you've got this model, and people who didn't want HBO Max before maybe will get HBO Max now, and now instead of splitting that profits with movie theaters, HBO Max is owned by Warner. It's all just going to Warner Brothers.
yeah.
Is that really losing
Son of
profitability?
a bitch.
I guess the comment was referring to their movie branch, like the theater money. So
Yeah.
it's losing theater money, but also no one's going to the theater. So who?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
What
I mean,
options do you have?
I get where the AMC is coming from because, I mean, they're in the position where they have to fight for this. And also, we are on the cusp of the vaccine being completed and distributed. And I'm assuming, as long as everything goes okay, I think by like June or July, I think we'll have, probably over 70% of the population
Also, did
vaccinated.
you
but-
see the Black Panther girl get canceled?
Who got canceled?
The girl who plays the sister in Black Panther.
She got canceled? Everybody loved her.
Like-
What'd she do?
She
She say some
commented.
racist shit?
No, she's black. She
Oh, that's
she
fair.
commented on on Instagram or something or Twitter, being like questioning the vaccine. And then
Anti-vaxxer.
her comment was like, "I'm not sure if I'm just saying to be wary of what you put in your body."
I mean,
And I'm like, here's the
I
thing.
get that from like a general perspective, but also like as far as like getting stuff back to normal, it's a really dumb comment to make.
I'm the opposite. I do
Uh-huh.
not. I question everything.
I guess so, but also like I'm in a vaccine trial, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't really.
I
I don't know.
I had COVID, and
Yeah,
you'll be all right.
yeah.
I'm all about vaccinating. I'm all about that, right? I'm cool with it. I'm
Yeah.
just not gonna be the first batch to take it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, honestly, I mean, as far as like the people who are the first batch to take it, I mean, it's never
Because
going
if
to
it
be
was
us.
if it was any
It's going to be all first line.
well, I'm saying
first
if
responders
it
and
was
stuff.
any other medicine for any other disease,
Mm.
like here's the first wave of cancer treatment, like, and it's not FDA tested. We made it in 6 months.
Mhm.
Hey, here's an Advil alternative. We made it in 6 months. I'm okay. I'll keep taking Advil. Like, let's be real. Like nothing. It takes a movie a year to get made. A movie, and we're fucking filming shit. You're gonna take the fucking engineers are gonna create a fucking
Yeah.
virus destruction pill.
That is fair. I mean, I think the average time for like an actual like fully tested vaccine trial, at least the one that I'm in right now, is that they're going to say it's going to take like 2 years to have the full
There's
study
just
done.
not enough.
So,
You can't. We learned this in basic biology. There's no way they can have a sample size large enough to get accurate results. To when you go to GNC and buy fucking like weight loss pills or like a burner pill, they're like, it's not approved by the FDA. Our test batch of 10 people said it was effective. Like, I'm not saying her comments are one way or the other. I'm just saying as Zach, as natural skeptics that we are, as people who believe in the things that we believe in,
that's true.
in the sense of, I don't know, Bigfoot or something.
Bigfoot,
or
Chupacabra,
here's what I'm saying, Zach. As much as okay,
NWO.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, real quick. This is not related to obviously related to fucking AMC, but my point is this: MK Ultra was a thing,
What's the thing?
and we're going to purposefully ingest things made. What? What? Who bought this? Who bought these? The government.
Yeah.
You think Bob
that's
Lazar?
true.
You think Bob Lazar's taking this shit?
Well, no.
No.
But also, Bob Lazar probably got the secret antidotes from the aliens when he got abducted, and he got
I mean,
anally
the,
probed. So
the Heaven's Gate gave it to him.
the Suicide Pact gave it to him.
The HBO Max has a docu-series about it.
On Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, it just came out
I'll listen to
2 days ago.
I'll probably listen to that. I mean, I just listened to the last podcast, Heaven's Gate
No,
series.
but HBO has a docuseries came out. It's like 4 episodes, and they interviewed a bunch of former members.
Yeah, I mean that's the most interesting part is that there's so many of them that like actually didn't die.
Yeah. Oh, they left too early.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting to me is like it's like they didn't care if you left.
Yeah, no, they didn't care.
They like bought you tickets and shit.
It's honestly the weirdest part about that cult in general that they weren't like super protective,
Oppressive.
of, like having a bunch of people. Like they weren't like Shinrikyo or like Child of God
Zach,
or Children of God or anything.
because
like
Zach,
that.
they actually believed it, dude.
Yeah, no, they believed 100%.
Like, think
well,
about it,
that's
right?
why they castrated themselves.
Like,
they believed 100%.
The fact that they would buy you tickets to leave,
Yeah.
like shows you that it was not about like Tien Do trying to be like
Yeah.
trying to be Jim Jones. Like it wasn't about power.
No, definitely not.
It was about, hey, we're going to exit.
Yeah.
And if you want to exit with us, come here, take this fucking weird shit, put a bag over your head, and we'll rock it.
Yeah.
We'll put the patch
it's
on.
one of the stranger cults that are out there.
Well, I love that. I just love they love Stargate. I just love that they love Stargate.
Yeah.
And I love Stargate. You know what? Maybe I missed my calling.
My God.
I could have been on a different plane from here already.
Could have had hitched on that ride off of Haley Bob's comment.
I know, man. So that's HBO and WB. Real fast as well before we move into our final topic of the show. Main topic is that Oscar Isaac is going to play Metal Gear Solid's Solid Snake.
Yeah, he is.
That's all.
It's I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I was having a conversation with some guys at work about it, and it was just like, I mean, it's the same thing that I brought up to you. It's just like, I'm excited for it because it's Metal Gear, and that's fucking rad, and it's Oscar Isaac, who's like one of the best in the fucking game right now. So I'm down for that too. And he reminds me of like he looks like a pretty decent like Solid Snake. Like he's got the look of it, and he's a great actor. But I mean, it's just like it's that Sony's in charge, man, and Sony has fucked up so much shit as far as like having licensed properties and like making decent movies. And it's like,
but they gave us Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Fuck that movie. They gave us that. They gave us Ghostbusters, Answer the Call, which is
classic.
also like, as far as like subtitles for movies, it's like the most. What the fuck even is this?
Oh, you mean originally just called Ghostbusters?
Yeah, because it was supposed to be a remake.
Oh,
and
it's
they're like,
Ghostbusters.
oh, people don't like that.
Oh,
we
Answer the
should
Call.
change it.
Answer the Call. Answer the Call.
We
Answer
should
the
add a
Call.
subtitle because people don't like that.
I don't even think about Sony making it. I don't even care because no matter what happens, whether it's this or Akira or Robotech, it's going to be produced by some shitty studio, so I don't care. Ghost in the Shell, I don't give a shit. My biggest concern is always going to be who they cast for the rest of the people, because this whole game franchise is based around like really cool, iconic video game characters.
Yeah.
Like who they cast as Psycho Mantis is going to be a huge deal. Yeah. Who they cast as Meryl is going to be a huge deal. As Otacon's a big deal. DARPA
Sniper
Chief,
Wolf.
Sniper Wolf. These are going to be humongous deals. And also, if they're going to actually make Vulcan Raven actually like an Indian guy, we'll see how that works out. But like, there's so many really important characters in this game that are iconic that they have to cast efficiently. And Oscar Isaac to me isn't necessarily the greatest casting for him, but also I didn't have an alternative. I didn't know who I would want to be Solid Snake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I really couldn't think of like who else I want. I think maybe the other one that would like fit into my mind, maybe just because I love what he did with Dredd so much, would be like Carl Urban, maybe.
Yeah, I could see that.
I could see him being like a really good Solid Snake.
But also depends on how we're trying to. Are we going old? Because like in MGS1, I don't think he's that.
He's
old.
a young guy.
I don't think he's that. Maybe he's like 30. Maybe I don't know. I mean,
he's
he's
like
that old.
Oscar Isaac's age. He's like mid-30s, I think.
Oscar Isaac's like 40 something, isn't he?
Is he?
He looks
I thought
young.
he was like mid-30s.
He looks fairly young, but I mean, yeah, I don't know who I would cast. It's so hard to tell because.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't even care that he is not white.
I don't really care about that at all.
I don't care about that, but I care more about. I don't know, man, because you have to think about who they're going to cast. Are they just going to have Oscar Isaac play older version, like play Big Boss? Like it's going to age him up to be Big Boss as they show him.
Well, I saw everybody doing the thing where it was like, I saw something in a Facebook group one of the Facebook groups that I was in was like, talking shit. They were talking shit about all the games company or whatnot because everybody that was reporting on this was using uh, MGS5 Solid Snake as like he's gonna play this, and everybody in the group was like, no, you fucking idiots, he's not gonna be Venom Snake. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
He's not playing
It's a
paramedic.
completely different fucking character.
He's not playing. He's not gonna play paramedic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Who they're gonna get to be Ocelot is
assume
huge.
he's gonna be Solid Snake, and I just don't know who. I mean, I think the biggest thing with him being a Solid Snake is who they're gonna cast as Big Boss. So,
If they're not just use him,
well, maybe I don't know.
if they just cast him and make him older, who they're gonna cast as Ocelot, who they're gonna cast
Austin's
as
gonna be big,
yeah, that's gonna be a big deal. Who they're gonna cast as Liquid?
Liquid's not till game 2, right?
He's the bad guy in game 1.
Is he? I have never played the original Metal Gear, so
Okay, so Metal Gear Solid 1, bad guy is Liquid.
okay.
Bad guy Liquid.
Oh, I thought Ocelot was the bad guy. Is he like a sub bad guy?
He's a henchman of Liquid.
Okay.
So bad guy of MGS2, if you could even really consider him a bad guy, he's really not really a bad guy. He's like a iffy, depending on how you look at it, bad guy is Solidus,
Okay.
who's the president of the United States.
Okay.
3 is the boss and Ivan or what's his name, Vogin,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, the Russian guy.
Mm-hmm.
4 is obviously Ocelot, Liquid Ocelot.
Yeah.
And 5 is, you see young Liquid in the game, but
Mm-hmm.
the fucking Spook Squad, whatever the fuck
Yeah.
they're called.
Skull guy, whatever the
Yeah.
hell his name is.
So yeah, the Liquid's the big bad guy, and they have to get Liquid right.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the hard part because not really hard part. But Liquid look is very like more so than Solid. Liquid's look is kind of iconic, like the blonde hair, the trench coat, the British voice. But they're twins, like they're like that's like they're genetic whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So like they look different, but they also look similar. So like it's gonna be hard to be like, hey, Oscar
it's gonna be
Isaac,
difficult.
you're a Latino guy or whatever his country his family's from.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard to have a clone who's similar to him because they're both clones,
Right.
but have him be a blonde British guy. Like it's a little easier when you're white.
Yeah.
It really is. And the blonde, if you go with the blonde hair Liquid route, that's such an iconic look for that character. Like when you think of
Right.
Liquid, you think of the blonde hair and the
Yeah.
fucking trench coat, with no shirt. You think of that, and also he also cosplays as Kaz in the first game.
Okay.
So in the game, the master is one of the people who trained Solid, which is Kaz, which is from the older game. The older games that take place in the past. One of the boss's friends is the blonde guy who's like a Japanese American guy.
Mm-hmm.
He trains Solid. Well, in the first game, you talk to him on codec the whole time. In reality, he's dead. Liquid kills him because they're both blonde. He can just put the glasses on and put his hair back, and he's the same. You can't tell the difference
Okay.
because he's blonde. So you have all these extra little visual things you have to like. If you're gonna do them to the game, you have to
Interesting.
do that right because you can't have like. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's I think it's definitely one of those things where it's on a tightrope for sure.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
But that brings us to our topic of the show
Yes.
for this week and for this month. Zach, do you want to go ahead and introduce it, man?
Jason, this month, we are diving in to 80s action films, and we begin our series of 80s action films, which I believe will be a 5-week series. Starting off with a movie I'd never seen before, but with an iconic action star in his own right, Sylvester Stallone's Cobra.
But real quick though, did you want to go through our top lists real quick
Oh yeah. Well, which list do you want to start with?
as a primer? So real quick, we're gonna do our top 5 action movies as primers, as well as our top 5 action stars as primers before we hit the rest of the month.
Okay.
Just to set the level, set the bar for the month of kind of where we stand.
Mhm.
Um, Zach, let's go through movies first.
Okay. I don't have any particular order for them.
That's
So this
fine.
is just like how I wrote them down. Um, First I have Predator,
Okay.
which is just like, I mean, I don't know what is to be said about Predator that like hasn't been said before. It's got some of the all-time greats in action movie stardom in there. Jesse Ventura, Arnold Schwarzenegger. You got oh my
Shane
god,
Black.
Shane Black. You've got Carl Weathers. You know, just some of the
Other
biggest names
black
in
dude.
this. Other black
Other
guy.
black dude for his name.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either. But it's just great. It's a great action movie. It starts off with like schlocky action, makes that tonal switch into a sci-fi horror movie. Arnold plays off really, really well. I think it's one of the things that was mentioned in the Search for the Last Action Hero, which is like it's the first time that like you see Arnold Schwarzenegger like afraid of something,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
interesting. It's that interesting aspect of kind of like deconstructing the action hero in that sense, where like they're always seen as like these impermeable, invulnerable people that like
Yeah.
basically like can take on anything and like come out on top. And this is the one where you're like, "Fuck, is Arnold gonna die?"
You son of a
Completely agree.
bitch.
Yeah. So that was the first one. What was your first one? Or do you just
Well,
want to run through them?
I'll go through mine. We can just bounce back in quick, real fast.
Okay.
I have mine ordered. So
Okay.
my number 5 is Lethal Weapon.
Okay.
I talk about it all the time. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Amazing action buddy cop movies. 2 amazing cast. And if you watch the documentary that Zach just mentioned, we talked about, they go through Lethal Weapon pretty well. So
Yes. So the second one on my list is Die Hard.
okay,
I mean, it's just a great, fun action movie. Bruce Willis is fantastic. The back and forth between him and oh my
Hans.
god, Hans. I can't remember the actors' names, but
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman. But the back and forth between Willis and Alan Rickman, the setup for the whole movie in general, it's just so simple, but at the same time, it really engages you with the premise and the story that's being told. Yeah, Die Hard's great. Love it.
My number 4 is The Matrix.
Okay.
Another movie
Okay.
that I've talked about ad nauseum. Amazing movie. Special
Yeah.
effects, kung fu, Hong Kong cinema, and American Western culture. It's an
Love it.
amazing movie. So
Yeah, definitely. My third one on my list is John Wick.
Okay.
I think is quintessential of this new renaissance that we're seeing in the late 2010s, early 2020s action films. I think Keanu's really led that revival. It's a fantastic movie. If people haven't watched it, I don't know what you're doing, because
Yeah,
John
right.
Wick is fantastic. Yeah.
my number 3 is Bloodsport.
Oh.
The best tournament movie of all time. This movie is what made martial arts movies popular again in the late 80s. And it gave us, spoiler alert, an amazing action star. Bloodsport. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's a fun movie. It really is super simple, and it's so goofy and dumb, but it's rad as shit. So that's my number 3.
Definitely. Next one on my list, The Raid 2.
Raid 2.
Um, just a perfect action movie. Just from start to finish. It's one of those movies it's balls to the wall from like the very start. Yeah, I love it. Oh my god. And the choreography in it is so good.
Yeah, for sure. My number 2 is Die Hard. So
Okay.
we'll go from there.
Yeah. And then the last one on my list that I have is it's a double for the star of the film, but it's such a good movie, and I've watched it so many times. Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Oh yeah, yeah, for
It's
sure.
God damn it, dude! It's such a good movie.
It's an amazing movie. Obviously, special effects ahead of its time.
Yeah.
A ton of money, great star, and it really shows. I've talked about it before, but like the best progression of a female character
Yeah.
of all
For
time,
sure.
straight up of all time.
Mm-hmm.
My number 1 favorite action movie of all time. It's tied, but I'll is Police Story.
Okay.
Jackie Chan. My favorite. It's usually tied with Speed and or another
Okay.
Jackie Chan movie called Dragons Forever. Those
Okay.
three always alternate, but Police Story and Speed are usually the flip flop.
Mm-hmm.
But this time I'll say it's Police Story. It's an amazing film. It's like exact.
Mm-hmm.
If you like Jackie Chan, this is it. If you like kung fu movies, this is it. If you like stunt
Mm-hmm.
movies, this is it. If you like fun
Mm-hmm.
movies, this is it. So that's my go-to.
Okay.
Transitioning really fast, Zach.
Yes.
Uh, top 5 action stars.
Okay, so these are also not in any particular order, but the first one on my list is Tom Cruise. I love
Okay.
anything that Tom Cruise is in. I think the thing that I like most about Tom Cruise is that he's not the traditional action star, and that he's not like getting into like huge fights or anything like that. But the stunt work that he does in his movies is just like beyond the pale of anybody else. The way that he's able to like put his body on the line for his movies and like get in there and actually like do the stunts and get the action from like as realistic as possible is something that like I don't know many other people that would do that besides Jackie Chan, and Jackie Chan does not do the kind of stuff that Tom Cruise does. So
I disagree with you there wholeheartedly.
okay.
Jackie Chan is that infinitely crazier shit than Tom Cruise ever has.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
I think Tom Cruise has is amazing for doing those stunts, especially later in life.
Yeah.
But Jackie has broken so many bones from
Yeah, that's true.
sliding off buildings, jumping from rooftops to helicopter ladders that are flying in the sky, like Super Cop and like Police Story 3, because there's no rules in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there is definitely, I think Tom Cruise, I think literally has seen Jackie Chan stunts from the 80s
Mm-hmm.
and said, that's going to be my set piece for Mission Impossible, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the American cinema, Tom Cruise is the guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy. But if we're gonna go through with like comparative like the Jackie, I can't.
Okay.
I can't. Dude, there's literally a scene with Young Biao,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you've seen it where there's a building on fire, like a 3-story building on fire, and Young Biao jumps off the roof of the building, lands, gets up, and grabs a fire hose. A
I don't think I've ever
3-story
seen that.
house, and it's on fucking fire. He just walk. They put so in Hong Kong they dig up a little ditch. They put like one little tiny pad, and that's your pad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he jumps off a roof of a building. No
Damn.
strings, no wires, nope. Just jumps off, boom, lands it, gets up, and then does the scene.
Damn.
That's fucking China.
Fair enough.
My number 5 is Mel Gibson.
Okay.
Mad Max, Lethal
Yeah.
Weapon. Stop there. Done.
Yeah. Fair enough. Next on my list, Arnold, obviously.
Okay.
One of the best of pulp 80s action. Commando, Predator, Expendables, He's just done it all, and I love him.
My number 4 is Keanu.
Okay.
For every reason that it's Keanu.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the next one on my list is Keanu.
Okay,
Keanu's
cool.
great. I love Keanu.
My number 3 is Sly, because
Okay.
of First Blood.
Yeah.
That's it. That movie alone is like cements him in time.
Okay.
And then insert 4 other ones, and then
Yeah.
Rocky. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
He's the best.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your next one?
My next one is Iko Uwais.
Okay.
The Raid, Headshot, Triple Threat. As far as like modern kung fu cinema, it's like him and like Tony Jaa are like kings of the fucking game right now. So, yeah, no, I love Iko. Everything that he's in, I try to watch. So,
My number 2 is Jackie.
okay.
He influenced everybody.
Yeah.
Anyone who does action movies from the late 70s to early 80s is influenced by Jackie, whether it's the choreography, the stunt work, or whatever. It's Jackie Chan's the guy, and he's still working today. His new movie coming out soon called Vanguard. So, Jackie Chan, my number 2.
Yeah, and then the last one I had on my list is Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
I mean, it's Bruce Lee. He's iconic. He's.
I'm
I
gonna.
think him.
I'm going to give you. My number 1 is going to. If we're going by great godfathers of the genre. Of course, Bruce Lee has to be in a list, but guess what? I don't have him on my list.
Oh my god.
My number
You got
one.
Jackie Chan though.
I got Jackie Chan, a different Chinese guy.
Yeah.
My number one, to combat your number one.
Okay.
My number one's JCVD, and
Damn. All right.
listen, man. JCVD, Jean Claude, is the best.
I have a new respect for him after watching that documentary of how tough it was for him to like get in the business.
He's amazing.
Like, yeah.
You go and you watch any of his movies.
Yeah.
You go watch Hard Target, mind blown. Watch Time Cop, mind blown. Sudden Death, mind blown. Bloodsport, hell yeah, dude. He's fucking yoked in Bloodsport.
Oh, he's super fucking young.
You go watch any of his movies and you are impressed because one, his accent is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
He's so charismatic, but his accent is so goofy.
Yeah.
I recommend you, Zach, if that RSS feed I gave you works, to listen to the Action Boys podcast episode where they review Hard Target. It is, first off, watch the movie because it's a John Woo movie with Jean Claude.
Okay.
First off, that's two amazing combos in one.
I mean, anything John Woo is already I'm already
it's
there.
amazing. And then also you add Jean Claude. Okay, yeah, I'm down. But then also you have Jean Claude Van Damme playing a former soldier who grew up in Louisiana. And it's like, what accent are we trying to do, dude? It's so fucking stupid. It's so good. So Jean Claude Van Damme, he's my favorite action star of all time. And that includes Street Fighter. That includes all his shit movies. I love him. He's amazing. So that's supposed to be the primer. So we can real quick review Cobra, which is what Zach mentioned earlier. Our first movie of action movie month for the 80s. Brackets 80s action movie month. So Cobra, 1986.
1986.
Zach, what are your thoughts, man, on Cobra?
Honestly, excellent. I was like kind of underwhelmed with this movie.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's not a bad action movie, but it's not particularly great. I think it's one of those movies that like there's nothing about it that particularly stands out.
Yeah.
I think as far as like action movies are concerned, it's fairly formulaic. From the plot, I think the most interesting about the movie is the villains, because like I don't know what the fuck's going on. There's some like weird like cult that like clangs like axes and shit together, like in some like underground sewer or some shit, and they just go around like randomly offing people in the middle of the street and like doing some weird shit like that.
And they never
also
tell
have,
you
like,
why.
a mole in the police department that like makes no fucking sense.
And they never
That's,
tell
like,
you
the
why.
most bonkers thing about the whole thing.
And they never explain what they're doing.
They never explain
why
like
they're doing it,
what their purpose is, like what they're trying to do. They just have some random shit with like the main bad guy at the end who like says that he's like the messiah of the new world order or some shit, which just comes out of like fucking nowhere. So that was like the most interesting stuff about the movie, was just like
my favorite part about
that whole
Cobra
villain.
is that Cobra is such a movie that is all about presentation. And I don't mean that in the sense that it's shot well, because it's shot fine. I mean that it's such a surface level movie in the sense of like, how can we make Sly look cool? Trench
Dress
coat,
him in all black,
trench coat, like, you know, the cool car, the
How do you
gun,
make him cool? You have him open a pizza of his fridge
with a knife.
Cut off the slice.
Yep.
And he keeps his gun cleaning kit and a thing of eggs.
Yeah, that, and then he has his gun, no holster, gun in the front of his pants.
Yeah.
He has the toothpick or match or whatever in his mouth.
That match shit makes no sense. I feel like they only set it up so he could throw the match on the guy at the end of the movie.
Yes, or also, it's like, what can we do to make him look cool? Okay.
I guess it's supposed to be the thing where it's like, instead of him having a cigarette, he has the match, but it just looks lame. I don't know.
But also,
maybe
it's like,
just me.
Okay, Sly, what do you want to do to make yourself look cool? Okay, when I'm in my own house, even though the lights are still on, I will still wear my sunglasses.
Always. Never take the sunglasses off.
I only take them off when news articles come on that are interesting.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Oh my God.
The action in the movie Cobra, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine action. It's fine. Literally mediocre. It's fine. It's doable.
I mean, it's as doable as the story is.
Yes,
I
yes.
think that's the main thing about it. And honestly, as far as like 80s action movies are concerned, there wasn't as many one-liners. He has the
Which is
one
good.
good one-liner from like the very first thing where he like has the hostage situation at the grocery store,
Mm-hmm.
and he has the one-liner. It's like, what was it? I can't remember what the guy first says, but he's like, "You're the disease, and I'm the cure." And I was
Yeah.
like, "That's great. That's a great line." And it's like best line in the whole movie, and it's like in the first 10 minutes.
But then at the end of the movie, when he lights the guy on fire, it makes no
Oh yeah,
sense. The
yeah, that
one-liner,
makes
the
sense.
one-liner makes no sense.
Although it does have one of my favorite kills, which is, I mean, and you know it's going to be a kill as soon as you go in that theater, and it has to have that giant hook
Yeah.
swinging throughout the factory the whole time. And I was like, okay, somebody's getting impaled on that hook.
Yeah.
And then you have the final action scene, and they're like Sly and like the other guy are like duking it out, and like you just see that hook coming by. And I was like, all right, when's he going to get impaled on the hook? That's all I want to see at this point.
I in terms of the action, that final death scene is so good because like
It's so good. Well,
it's
it
not
was
it's
like,
not choreographed that well, but
no.
the guy sells it so well.
He sells it so well, and it's not just that he gets impaled on the hook. He gets impaled on the
And then
hook, and he
burned.
gets burned to death.
So many people burn in that last fight.
Yeah, there's a lot.
3 people get burned
a lot
alive.
of people get burned to death. Yeah.
The guy gets burned in the little the compartment gets burned. The guy gets burned with the match, and then the bad guy gets burned alive by being dragged.
Yeah.
I was really hoping though that they would have killed the fucking bitch lady better.
Yeah, she just gets kind of shot, and that's it.
Yeah, I was hoping they would like cut her head off or something.
Yeah, I was expecting like more with that, especially if it's like, I mean, more so than like the main bad guy. She's more of like the antagonist.
Yeah,
of the
she
whole
sucks
movie.
more.
Yeah, she's the one that gets the whole plot rolling. She's the reason that like they get ambushed in the middle of fucking nowhere and some shit, which also is just like,
And she's a cop.
yeah, but also like plotting wise in the movie, that shit was like so infuriating to me because you have the thing where they're at the hideout, the safe house in the middle of nowhere or whatever, and you have the scene where she's like on the payphone in the middle of the night, like obviously calling the people or whatnot, and you have Sly
Catches her.
come out and confront her and basically like, hey bitch, I know what you're fucking doing. I know you're up to some shady fucking shit right now. Because you're on the middle of the night. There's no reason you should be at this payphone unless you're trying to keep what you're saying from somebody else's ears.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't do anything with this knowledge and acts like when the people show up to kill them, that it's a completely shocking revelation that
goes
this
back
happened.
to his room and continues cleaning his gun.
And then has sex with the woman.
That's it? Wait, so we were gonna do
Presumably.
Sylvester, we were doing that?
His gun is dope though.
His gun is really cool.
Yeah.
To take it back to more of a, in terms of pacing,
Yeah.
the movie's pacing is so weird to me because
I was thinking that during this whole thing. I feel like it has I don't know if you were going to say this, but it feels like it has a lot of those moments where it starts and stops a lot. Where you feel like it's like, okay, we're going to like get into some shit, and then it's like it like puts the handbrakes on.
Well, part of that, but the opening scene is long.
Yeah,
For an opening scene, and it's cool, but it's a long opening scene. And then I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to explain who Cobra is. They're like, they call him Cobra once, by the way.
Yeah, they don't call him Cobra once, and it's not even his name. It's just that he has. Well, I guess it's kind of like a shortening of his last name.
Yeah.
But it's like the only reason that I really thought of it is because he has a Cobra on his goddamn gun.
And his name's Cobretti. Yeah, they have.
Yeah, Cobretti. Also, I don't know what this joke like did not land with me. That like giving him like the bitch ass name of Marion, like Marion Cobretti. I was like, didn't really land with me that much.
Well, I wanted a tough name. Like what? Like Alice.
Like Alice. I was like, okay, that's kind of funny, but
like Cooper.
Yeah.
No, so the opening scene is weirdly long, and then he goes back to his house and pushes the guy's car out the way.
That scene also takes way too long.
The scene takes a long time, but from the act 2 of the movie, which is mostly like the murders happening, and then the girl does her photo shoot, which is like a weird like minute and a long 2 minute long.
So strange to me. Where it was like, I can't remember exactly what it is, but you're like, oh, that's what it is, because it's after she initially like witnesses them.
Yeah.
She doesn't even witness them murder a guy. She just witnesses the guy in the road.
Yeah.
Which is also the dumbest thing, where it's like, this whole thing is started because she stopped her car. Like that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason they want her dead, because she stopped her car and she saw the guy's face. But like she didn't see them kill anybody. But then, because you have that scene of like her photo shoot interspliced with them like
Yes.
interrogating people to like try to figure out what's going on. But it's so strange because for the
Yeah.
first like 30 seconds of it, it's not the photo shoot. It's these weird robot
Robots.
statues
Yeah.
that you just see popping up. And I'm like, what am I looking at right now?
Yeah.
What is the point of this?
And then also like they constantly cut between like random like the movie uses random pop music for no like really bad.
Yeah.
It's really like doesn't it's counterintuitive to the movie.
Yeah.
Where you have these you have a horrific cult murdering people in the streets. Here's some like fucking like pop 80s pop music. It doesn't make any sense. And the pacing is just so weird in that act 2 because there's like multiple what's it called like montage sequences.
Yeah.
There's like the investigation part, there's the murdering part, there's the photo shoot part,
Yeah.
and then the actual murder when they find her at her photo shoot and they leave and then she leaves and she gets attacked. I was like, how many times are they going to hit pipes with this axe?
Yeah.
And they hit pipes with that axe a fuck ton.
Although they did have a cool death in that, where the guy runs him into the elevator. I was like, okay, that's pretty dope.
The cop or the security guard or whatever.
The security guard. Yeah, I was like,
that
oh,
was fucking
that's pretty
sweet.
dope.
That was pretty sweet.
But that was the moment where it was like it had one of those moments of like start stop, because that was the moment where it was like, all right, we're gonna pick up. She's like getting chased by these fucking dudes, and then immediately like screeches to a halt. She's like in the hospital, and you have this long drawn out scene of like Sly trying to figure out that she like saw this guy, and then
God.
this is somehow connected to the suicide thing.
That whole scene where like the other guy on the zombie squad or whatever the fuck it's called is like looks at Sly and Sly's like, so what, does anyone want to hurt you?
Yeah.
No one wants to hurt me. Look at Sly.
No.
Hey, you have any beef with anybody? No, I got no beef with nobody.
You did drugs?
Looks at Sly.
Heroin?
Sly's like over and over again, dude.
Yeah.
The whole hospital scene is too long.
It's too long, yeah.
Too long, and the payoff is so obvious. Where it's like, okay, Sly's gonna go home for a couple hours to look at his personal records.
Yeah.
Where he's scrolling through he's looking at fucking fingerprints.
Also, though, there's that moment where he's like scrolling through the fingerprints, and I think it's right before he gets the call from his partner. But like, you see a person's picture on like his files, and I was like, "That's the guy!
Fucking guy!
That's the fucking guy!
That's the guy!
Why are you not like that's the dude?"
Yeah, he's looking at enlarged overlays of like, what are you gonna do with that information, bro?
Also, you have no fingerprints, so I don't even know why you're looking at this fingerprint file right now.
Looking at the fingerprints, and then the call from his partner.
Yeah.
And we all knew this was coming.
Obviously, yeah.
But they don't ever explain.
Well,
do they even show the call coming in?
No, they don't explain the call coming in, but you have the. I mean, you know what's going to happen, because before that they introduce that woman who is the police detective that is obviously the mole, because you saw her in the previous scene like set up the woman to be killed. I was like, okay, she's the mole. She's the whole reason this plot is even going to keep happening.
Yeah.
But they have that moment. But yeah, they don't like see him. You don't see him getting called. All of a sudden, he just calls Sly. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, what do you need from your office?" Which also, that's fucking bullshit too. Because at the hospital, he's like, "I'm gonna go to my office."
Yes.
And then the guy later is like, "Hey, I'm at your office." And I was like, I thought.
Well, no.
Office.
Cobra was go home, but then like, all your files are at home. Why would you not have what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. That's very. I mean, I get they're trying to paint the picture of like, he's the very like, off the books cop. Like even he does his investigations off the books and shit like that.
Let's be real.
Does it at home, but
like the idea of like, oh hey, we have two guys in the zombie squad who take jobs. We like no, like it's like the captain says at the beginning of the movie when they're walking in the office, where the captain's like, "You're part of the zombie squad, Cobra. Yeah. You take jobs no one else wants." It's like that doesn't how cops work.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You get a call, and guess what you do? You work it. You get the pick and choose.
Everybody else in that police station is a fucking dickhead.
Yeah.
Like that one guy who's like his antagonist, the rival cop
guy,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. He's wrong 100%.
I like the police chief's like, Cobretti, you got attitude problem.
Only a little bit.
Only a little one.
Or yeah, because the police chief's like, you got an attitude problem. He's like, yeah, but it's only a little
Just a
one.
little one. I love in the beginning of the movie, taking it back real quick, after that scene where he explains what Cobra is, how he just walks into a glass door and has a shooting range.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way,
it's like right next to the chief's
like,
office.
yo,
they have the shooting range.
it's glass doors. It's too loud.
Yeah.
It's be too loud.
Wait.
Pacing's weird. Music choice is really weird for a lot of the scenes. They cut from like murder to like 80s pop music. Okay, so the action in Cobra, the scene where he's attacked at home, it's a cool scene.
It's a dope scene.
It's a pretty decent scene.
One of the better action scenes in the movie. Yeah.
He like throws a guy off a thing, shoots him, and he shoots the guy off the banister, and that guy has a really like a long stunt fall.
Yeah,
that was really cool. But the scene at the end of the movie when they're barraging the hotel rooms or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that scene's just chaos.
So yeah, that scene's too much going on.
Yeah.
It's poorly shot, poorly choreographed, poorly action. Here's my biggest issue. Why are you riding your motorcycles and doing drive-bys? Just
that makes
get
no sense.
off the bikes.
Yeah, I don't get it. Well, that's the thing. I feel like that's happened. I feel like I've seen a lot of 80s or action movies where that kind of stuff happens, where you've got like the gang of people, and they could easily like surround the place, but instead they're like are moving around it and like they're not sticking in one spot. And I was like, I don't get why this is happening.
It makes no sense.
I suppose I guess it's supposed to give you the illusion that there's more people than there are.
Probably.
But also, I know there's a lot of people there because he kills so many people.
With one-shots.
One-shots.
Perfect one-shots. Pow, pow,
It's like,
pow.
I guess when he's got the machine gun, so it's like the triple tap.
Well, when he's shooting with the handgun, he's like getting instant
he's
shots.
insta-kill all over the place with the handgun. But
the car chase scene is okay.
Yeah, that one's fine. I actually like that one quite a bit. It reminded me of like Bullet, like that kind of thing, where it's like, it's a very realistic car chase for the most part. I like the part they're doing like the multiple ramps over the bridges and whatnot. I like that shot a lot, where you just.
I like that it was him chasing them.
Yeah.
Like if he was aggressing to them to like get fucking
I like
killed.
that aspect a lot.
That was cool. Overall, though, in terms of the action, like I really expected. I've seen this movie before, but I was really expecting like because the cover of the movie looks so cool.
Cover's so dope.
And the name of the movie.
Well, I've never seen this movie. I've only seen the cover before. Like I remember watching it in like the other guys, like Mark Wahlberg. That's like I suppose is supposed to be like the hint to his character that he has like Cobra on his fucking bedroom wall. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
And like it really is like a pretty tame movie.
Yeah.
I was really hoping for like a RoboCop levels of like gore.
Yeah, schlock. Yeah.
I want him like going in there like into more convenience stores and just blowing people away.
Yeah, I was expecting more of that stuff because they talk about all the time how he's breaking the rules and stuff like that, and he's like the no holds barred cop, but he really doesn't do anything that's like outside of what a cop does, except that he like clashes with his superiors.
That's really it.
But really, there's not people, there's no reason that like his superiors should not trust him.
And also, by the time they keep saying like you kill people, Cobretti, he's only killed one guy.
And that was a guy that had people as hostages.
And then later, when the people attack him and he kills them, they're like, you keep killing people, Cobretti, but it's like, yeah, they attacked my house.
Yeah, it was like the one guy was like, yeah, could you try to do it without making a spectacle of it? And I was like, yeah, people are attacking him. Like, that's not really how this works.
When he's like, there's a mole. Do you have any evidence? That's a pretty high charge, Cobretti. They found my house, dude.
Yeah, they found my house. They knew where the girl was in the hospital. There's no reason they should know that.
Like, and they tried to take her out of the city like fucking twice.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like, there are so many things that they could do in this movie to make it better.
That mole scene was like after the car chase, where it was like clearly they were ambushed in a car chase. Like clearly somebody knows something.
There's so many things that they could have done with this movie to just small things, just script wise.
Yeah.
To make the pacing better, make the story more coherent, and I don't think you could. Honestly, though, the cult thing could have been fleshed out more.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things is that like, I mean, there's definitely parts where like you definitely could like tighten this movie up, but I think one of the main things is yeah, there's really not any like clear motivation for like why these people are doing like what they're doing, because even crazy people have like some sort of like
Also, you just let the girl
instinct.
go.
Yeah.
Like you give up.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like yeah, they're wasting a lot of cult members to try to get this one
Yeah.
girl, which makes like no sense.
You could have killed 10 other people by doing that shit.
Yeah. Also, I found it really weird where the to jump back to the last action scene in the movie, it was super strange to me that you have the thing where also you have this entire movie where like Cobra set up as like the cop who doesn't play by the rules.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have the main bad guy being like, I know you won't shoot me. I know
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
play by the rules. And then he also keeps calling him a pig.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think if you're trying to like not have somebody kill you, I think calling them a pig is the wrong option to do.
Seriously. You know, I'm like, the final scene overall, the action scene could have been done better. I mean,
Yeah.
the death scene was really cool, and
Yeah, the death scene was dope.
the guy sells it really, really well, and it's super brutal and it's intense.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps coming back to Cobra's face. I'm like, what's the point of that? Like,
Yeah.
they're taking it too long.
Yeah.
And it's almost awkwardly long.
Mm-hmm.
But
just like everything else in this movie, man.
Yeah,
everything's just a little too long.
The pacing's weird. The music choice is weird. The action scenes are okay, not enough to be great.
Yeah.
And you don't get enough out of Cobra or even the girl to really care, or even the other guy to really give a shit about what's happening.
Yeah.
And they really don't. The pacing between acts 1 to 3, especially 2, like it's almost like act 1 is almost like the fucking intro of the movie, like the first scene, like in terms of like just the hostage scene, because it takes like 15 minutes for that.
Yeah.
And like you don't need to do 15 minutes to learn about the character. You can have like a quick 5-minute opening scene where he like walks in and shoots the guy. Like you could, it could be like, it could literally just be like hostage scene happens, which is like a 7-minute long intro scene of him actually walking into the grocery store. You could have literally be like, call Cobra. Cobra pulls in, talks to nobody, walks in, sees the guy, kills him right there, walks back out.
Yeah.
And that's all you need to do, and you get who Cobra is.
Mm-hmm.
He's a no, fuck you, I'm gonna kill you. Walks in, shoots the guy, and leaves.
Yeah.
That could be and the whole scene of the reporter. You don't need all. That's all extra bullshit.
Yeah.
That just fluffs the movie and makes the pacing so awkward because clearly by the end of Act 2, they're like, oh, we have to start rushing towards the finale.
Yeah.
So
well, it's like there just seems like there's so many moments where they just slow down for no reason. Like they have that moment where they're like running away to like the safe house or whatever, and they have that like 5 or 6 minute long scene at like a fucking rest stop.
What's the point?
Where they have like the Marion shit that like is not good enough to like warrant this like 6-minute long scene to like get this Marion joke.
You want to see something funny? Go and call him. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? I don't know what the fuck that guy's name is.
Yeah.
Gonzalez, I think.
I think it's Gonzalez. I mean, clearly it's supposed to be building up their relationship between her and him, but like, also just didn't care about their relationship. I just wanted to see Stallone shoot people.
You're a shitty photographer who takes pictures of robots. Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Go get killed, dude. Who gives a shit about you?
She did almost get Me Too'd, though, so, you know.
She what?
She almost got Me Too'd, so, you know.
How?
You remember that shit in that first her intro scene where she's like with her manager?
Oh yeah,
the guy's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Hey, dude, like you can be doing
it's
like
not for me. It's for your career.
It's not for me. It's for you. You know what I mean? You know, I'm just like, don't think about it for me. Think about it for you. And I was like, oh, this is like Me Too Central.
That's right.
Like,
he gets murdered right there, so that's okay.
He does. He gets the axe to the face.
Which is
like, okay.
Again sad because the guy goes to chop him, hits the pipe, and then he still gets killed.
Yeah.
Fucking pussy. Well, Zach, overall on a scale of 1 to 5 scale, what do you give 1986's the movie that Sylvester Stallone made instead of Beverly Hills Cop?
I can't believe that.
What do you pick for? What do you give Cobra?
I think it's.
This is a 2.
I'm flouncing between like a 2.5 and a 3. I'm not sure exactly which. Because it's not above average.
No.
It's definitely not above a 3. I just don't know if it's like, yeah, I think it's a 2.5. I think it's just a little too long, and there's just too much stuff that could be trimmed up to give it a 3. I think it's like a 2.5.
I see where you're coming from. I give Cobra a 2 because even in the 80s, there are movies that are doing Cobra better than Cobra.
Mm.
And with those things being out there, with who he is as an actor, with Rambo First
Yeah.
Blood Part 2, like there's no excuse to not be able to make um, this movie as cool as it could have been. And they put all the money into the car, into the jacket, into the Henley shirt,
Yeah.
and they just didn't. The atmosphere of the name with the artwork, with the character portrayal didn't match what the movie actually gave me.
Yeah.
So I think Cobra's a 2. It could have been a 3.5 if they tweaked up those things we talked about.
Yeah.
Um,
I could
or,
definitely see this being like a 3.5 to
or
like.
if they added more gruesome murder scenes, like from Cobra. Like if Cobra
Yeah.
was killing people more intensely and more actively,
Yeah.
it definitely would have made it a better movie in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that was another part too, is that it just felt like all of it felt like super impersonal.
Yeah.
Like it didn't really seem like he had like much of a stake. I think the scene where he had like the most stake in it was like the car chase, which was I think one of the scenes that was like one of the more like intense. It feels like he has like a stake in like what's actually going on. Everything else seems kind of like detached. It didn't
Well,
really seem like
I'm
there was anything like personal motivation for him in those
I'm
actions.
I would honestly be fine with that because he's a cop, so it's the job. But I would
Yeah.
want you to do him to be so impersonal and so detached that he doesn't care about dropping more bodies. Like what the
Mm.
guy keeps saying he's doing, like, oh, you kill everyone. Well, show me, because at
Yeah,
that
he
point you only
really.
show me, you only kill me. He kills like 4 dudes because they attack
Yeah,
him.
it's a really good moment of like show don't tell.
Like,
So
don't tell me that he's a badass. Like, show me the scenes where he's out there, like,
yeah, the one action scene at the beginning is not enough to like establish that like this guy's a badass.
it really is not. And because
Yeah,
the guy should die because he killed some kid randomly.
yeah,
He has hostages, so yeah, it doesn't really make sense.
yeah.
But we can end the episode there.
Yes,
First episode of 80s action movie month
yes,
in the bank. We'll see y'all back next week for part 2.
yes.
And we'll figure out what movie we're doing after we stop recording.
Okay.
So thanks guys for watching. Thanks for listening. See you
Yes.
back next week.
See you guys.